And welcome, viewers. Just having a little bit of audio trouble at the moment. That is super loud. We'll get this sorted. Okay, it's Westminster versus Immanuel down at beautiful Westminster Oval. My name is Tony Neal and I'm joined by Indiana Rogers. How are you, Indy?
I'm alright, thank you very much, Tony. I have been spending the past 4 weeks staring out the window at nothing menacingly because there hasn't been any school league football going on for the past 4 weeks, but we're happy to be back today and we're happy to be back at Westminster as well because this ground is absolutely fantastic.
And yeah, just talking about that, we both walked across the ground. Now, the cricket pitch is quite firm in the middle, but the surrounding areas, which I know you're going to come to when we do the weather, is just absolutely magnificent out there. The standard of, first of all, the quality of, I guess, the mat, the carpet that these players get to play on each week is fantastic. And I think we're in for a rip-snorting game of football. Don't worry about where they are on the ladder. It's how these teams have prepared. Leading into this game with, as you said, 4 weeks off. Well, Westminster have had 5 because they've had the bye as well.
Yeah, so an extra week off there for Westminster, the home team. And Immanuel as well, they had their bye back in round 4. Both teams just with the 1 win for the year, which we're going to cover a bit later. Both of which came against Scotch College, who they themselves are yet to register a win this year. So it's been a tough competition for both these teams so far. And of course, they're both wearing similar Guernseys out there today as well.
All right, Indy. Well, we're going to go to our coaches' interviews. Just before we do, just a couple of changes with our sponsorship. So, of course, we've got always Dartfish, fantastic sponsors, Simon Black Academy, who do a great job with these young up-and-coming footballers, not only in their sport but in their life as well. Sports Interactive and Filming Footy. And, of course, we've got one for the scoreboard, Indy.
Yes, our scoreboard today is brought to you by Sportal, providing scoreboards across the country and allowing you to keep track of the state of the game in its most heated and its coldest moments.
Fantastic. All right, well, let's go to our coach interviews before we waste any more time. We'll get on to our interviews. We've got Westminster with Tim Weatherald and, of course, Immanuel with Mark Bickley. Let's have a listen to what the coaches had to say in preparation for the big game. Welcome, folks, out to the big game today, and Westminster coach Tim Weatherald joins us. Welcome, Tim.
Cheers, thank you very much. It's good to be back.
Well, talking about that being back, 5 games you played, and then you guys had the bye in round 6, so 5 weeks off pretty much until today. What do? You stick to your pre-season goals when you go back and review that, or do you put some changes in over those 5 weeks break?
Yeah, I guess we had 2 weeks of training before the holidays, so we sort of tried to, put some fitness back into the boys a little bit, like pre-season, and then obviously over the holiday break, the boys sort of go everywhere. Like obviously the boarders head back home, and some of those might play senior footy back home or even juniors footy, and a number of the boys get that opportunity to play SANFL under 18s or under 16s, and one lad played in the state under 16 program, so they sort of disappear and go away, and then we all got back together this Tuesday and had 2 trainings to get ready for today.
And we talk about the macros, the focus. So is the focus on the back line, is the focus on the midfield and the clearances, or is the focus on forward line entries, or is it a bit of each? Where do you think your focus areas are that you really need to improve on?
Yeah, I think we obviously focus on all of them. We've got sort of little line coach. Seamus Maloney is our forward line coach this year, and Tony Francis is down back, and our other assistant Tony Richardson does the midfield. So they've all got their own little goals, and I sort of try and support them and have my own sort of overall goals. But yeah, we all have our little jobs to do, and if they can all work together and get a bit of connection, it gets a good result.
Mate, the one thing I love here, I think you guys have got the best run out in the comp, and I say that unashamedly here. It's a bit like the gridiron in America. They come out of that tunnel and the roar. The first time we were here, I thought, geez, what's happening? But it is absolutely magnificent. An important part of the sport, and you're teaching life skills, of course, excitement and enthusiasm. How do you work that into your coaching with not winning games at the moment and so on? Because it's about winning a moment rather than winning a whole game or winning a quarter. So tell us a little bit around those sorts of things.
Yeah, obviously, first of all, if we're playing here at Westminster, our home deck's always great fun. Like the race there is fantastic. They run out, and we're lucky we've got a lot of boarders here, and the girls play netball in the morning and come and stand there and cheer the lads on, and so it definitely lifts the boys a bit at the start of the game. And yeah, it's a great way to start here, and Intercol in a few weeks' time, whether it's at Pembroke or here, is always a similar sort of thing. They all line up, and it's really exciting. Back to sort of moments in the game. We do a moment award every week. The coaches, we get together, and we always think there's sometimes during a game whether it's a really strong mark or a great tackle or a goal or just that special moment which might turn the game in our advantage. And yeah, so we try and give a moment award each week, and the boys love it. It's one of those things. They know they might not be the best player, but they can still impact and have a moment in the game which can really help the team.
Fantastic, mate, because it's more than just the 2 hours on game day and getting a kick and showing mum and dad, look at what I can do. It's about the enjoyment and stuff as well. Listen, the team first and sacrifice, which is probably part of that as well. How do you employ that into the players? You know, put the team first and make sacrificial acts. So you might do a decoy run the forward line, not touch the ball. Back line might be a player floating across the pack and having to leave his man and stuff like that. How do you employ those methods?
Yeah, I think it's just everyone understanding those little. I always talk about team. Probably the first thing I write on the board is team, and all those unrewarded acts, the things which spectators, you guys in the coaches box might not see, or the commentary box, but the things which we love as coaches is those little chase downs, or sometimes running away from the ball to leave space for your teammate. Those sort of things us as coaches love, and we just have to make sure we recognise the kids about that, so they know that we find that important. So yeah, the kids know that we're always after that, and yeah, and they sort of feed on that and make sure they celebrate with each other if they do those sort of things.
I think it's fantastic, Tim, for the wider football community to hear these sorts of things going on in the background, because it's not just about, as we said, having a chat and see you later and see you in an hour and a half or at quarter time, but it's measuring the little things. Last question, final message to the team. I'm interested in this and how much they retain. You're in the rooms, they're about to run out, they're all excited, 5 minutes to go, and you say your final message, but then they go through the run-through, they're going to hear that roar and all that. So how do they hang on to everything? But yes, what is your final message today?
Yeah, I think obviously for us it's to get back in. It's going to be 4 quarters today. This is probably one of our most important game of the year, I think, playing Immanuel. They've been really strong this year, and we had a tough first term and had that one good win, but this is another chance for us to start this term. So I'll really be pushing like 4 quarters today. You've got to play 4 quarters, good footy, beat your opponent when it's one-on-one, and if we can win more one-on-ones, then the result should happen.
All right, thank you very much for spending that time with us, Tim. We wish you all the best in the game today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we've been itching to watch some school football for nearly a month now, and probably none other than this man be itching the most, the senior coach for Immanuel College, Mark Bickley. It's good to have you join us. We wanted to ask you about the last result that we saw you when you encountered St. Peter's just before the holidays hit. You tied with them 65 point apiece. Take us through the ending stages of that game. How did it play out?
Yeah, look, we had less scoring shots. So, they say there's someone that's pretty disappointed and someone reasonably happy when you have a draw. We probably we got the goal to even up. So, and it was in their forward line. So we were probably in the end happy to hold on for the draw. They probably missed some chances they could have got. So, but I guess for us it's been about challenging some of those big schools, and we had a pretty close game in round 1 against Prince Alfred College, and then to have a draw against St. Peter's, who both those teams beat us comfortably by 60 plus points last year. So we think we've made some progress, but we're I guess disappointed we weren't able to break through and have that big win.
Yeah, definitely. Clutch antics can be very hard to master in the art of football. And of course, rounds 3 and 5, you had a bye in round 4. You kicked 32 points overall in each of those games. So we wanted to ask, is focusing on a more high-pace attacking brand going to be a priority today, or are you thinking defence first?
No, look, we tried to be attacking in the way we play. It's probably more, that was more a reflection of the good opposition we played. We've had, when we play against teams like Sacred Heart and Ross Trevor and those teams, they were just really, really good against us. And, we weren't really able to, we matched them in the contested game, but their ability to sort of get the ball on the outside and run and carry, that really hurt us. So that's probably the area that we feel like we need to improve on. And that, when you do that well, then the score tends to come on the back of that. So, one of the things we pride ourselves on is we've got lots of great, guys that can win the footy. We've got some firepower up forward who we think can mark it. So it's just that flow that we're looking for, transition from D50 to F50.
Yeah, definitely. It's been 4 weeks now since you last tied up shoes and put on jumpers, but in between then, have you been keeping in touch with any of the players over the school holidays? Have you been trying to contact them individually or collectively as a group?
Yeah, look, mainly try and stay in contact with most of the senior guys. What we find is it's difficult around the borders in particular, who tend to go back to, where their home towns are. So a lot of those guys, which is good, they play in the footy during that break, or probably most of our list are playing. So some of the country borders go back and play against men, which is a great opportunity for them. And then we've got the other guys who are playing, for your Greek, your Foss Camden and your Henley Beach and Goodwood and those teams. So I think what we've seen is we've had a bit of a break. Those guys go and enjoy themselves, and then we come back together. And this week's training's been great. Everyone's sort of look forward to coming back together. We know we've got 3 or 4 games left, and if we do that really well, then we really want to get something out of this year. So today is something we're really looking forward to, because we know Westminster are a very similar side to us. They've had similar results, so we feel as if if we play well, this is an opportunity just to once again show that we've had some improvement this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll let you go now, Bix, but thank you very much for joining us, and all the best for today.
Thanks very much.
Welcome back, folks, and fantastic to hear from the coaches leading into the game. We can see there the Division 1 ladder as we speak, and Prince Alfred out on top there with 5 wins, of course, and Ross Trevor with 4, Sacred Heart with 4, so there's a bit of a roadblock there. Who will finish up in second? And, of course, St Peter's with played 5, 2 wins, 2 losses and a draw. And then it gets interesting, Indy, with today's 2 participants.
Yeah, they might not be able to catch up to Sacred Heart or Ross Trevor from here, but I still think that St Peter's is in a position to be overtaken. Immanuel will have to win today, and St Peter's will have to lose if that is to occur, but definitely at the bottom end. Scotch still looking for their first win of the year, and Westminster, without that draw, they are a point behind Immanuel, but a win today would put them ahead.
And as you've alluded to there, the draw, that could become an important factor over the next, it's this week and next week leading into those couple of final games. So we'll have a look now at Westminster, and there's the beautiful stand up there, of course. But Westminster, round 1 was a loss by 58 points to St Peter's. Round 2 was a loss 47 points to Prince Alfred. Then they had the win over Scotch, which is quite a huge win by 86 points. They then lost by 92 to Sacred Heart, lost by 70 to Ross Trevor. Then, of course, they had the bye. So they played 5, and now they've had the 5 weeks off leading into this game. So, and they're pretty comprehensive losses we see. But as we heard the coach talk about, sometimes it's not just always about just winning. And it could be win a quarter, not win a game. It could be win a half. But more importantly, win the moments and the culture and the enjoyment around the teams. We'll go across and have a look at Immanuel. And Indy, what can you tell us about Immanuel?
Yeah, at the moment, so Immanuel, they did fight in a very admirable game back in round 1. Nearly beat Prince Alfred, fell short by 10 points. Got their first and only win of the season the next week against Scotch College by 88. But they were defeated by Ross Trevor, and then after their bye in round 4, defeated by Sacred Heart. After that, they scored a total of 32 points in both of those games, like we discussed with Mark Bickley in the coach's interview. He's going to try and look to play a more attacking brand of football, and he credited the opposition for being able to stop their attack, but he does want to focus on getting some higher scores in. Of course, that did result in the round 6 draw with St Peter's. They did score much higher, 65 points apiece in that game. Some missed opportunities from St Peter's allowed Immanuel to keep in touch, which is the biggest reason why it was a draw. Once again, as Mark Bickley described in that coach's interview, it's definitely a big time now for Immanuel to try and keep in touch with that higher end of the ladder, because they'll definitely want to keep that distance from Westminster and keep in touch with St Peter's.
Yeah, so thank you very much for that, Indy. And look, I guess players to watch for the people watching at home today. We've got some background on some of the players out there. So Gus Solomon, obviously number 3, is the captain. His home club is Plimpton Bulldogs, so I'm surprised that he's actually not out of the Sample Club. We've got Wisniewski we've seen before, number 4. Now he's at Glenelg under 16s. And this is what I love, is getting the different players from different areas. So our next one, Lockie Anderson, is a boarder from Kangaroo Island, plays for the Kingscote Hounds. Oh, what do you reckon of that one? But they come across and they board here and they play their college football. Rupert Miles, of course, number 8, is an Open A basketball captain. Then we go to Tom Wheaton, South Adelaide under 18 from Strath. We've got Josh Smith, number 13 from West Adelaide. This is interesting. Number 15, Brody Emboscado. And it has been written correctly on both sheets. So we'll say Emboscado it is. Now, this lad is a boarder from Darwin, plays for the Waratahs up there. Taylor Goad, I walked past him doing the warm-up, and I'm 6'1" and a bit, shrinking, and I was just like, he just kept going up and up and up. He is a huge lad, Indy, let me tell you that. State basketballer as well. Number 20, Rocco Kovacic. Now, he's the vice-captain, but wait for this, he's currently in the mix to represent Australia in the Commonwealth Games, wait for it, for wrestling. So multifaceted with his sports. Very good lad. We go down. Anders McShane, number 29 from Glenelg, under 18s. Riley Hill, deputy vice-captain. We've got Henry Cattell, who is the school leader in 2022. Loves the River Murray and wakeboarding. Well, it's a bit nippy to get up there and be doing that. And, of course, Caelan Knox, number 44, South Adelaide. And Archer Byrne, who is the school vice-captain. He's at West Adelaide as well. So a real eclectic mix, if you like, of players from Sandful, from the country. And Indy, you're going to tell us about Immanuel, and there's one player in there. A big bit of news on him, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely. And that player is Isaiah Wilkes, number 14 for Immanuel. So he was on the border of Yilana on the Eyre Peninsula. His favourite sporting moment is the 2021 United Yilana A-grade premiership. He'll treasure that moment for a lifetime, that's for sure. But he's here today at Westminster, and he's playing a lot closer to the big city than he probably would normally be accustomed to. So that's an exciting opportunity for him. And another player to keep an eye out for today, Phoenix Foster, hasn't seen too much senior time this year with some injuries, but he's apparently a very big inclusion, and with a big exclusion for Westminster today, Immanuel might smell some blood.
Yes, correct there. That's it for our players, isn't it, at the moment? You'll probably cover a few more of them.
Oh, absolutely. There's plenty of information there that will bring you about certain individuals throughout the game as we see them on screen.
And we're just going to ask our magnificent producer here to open up the door, because the score, the game is actually over now if they haven't taken it off. A little bit more there. 92-13 it was in the end. Westminster kicked 13 points and Immanuel 92. So very telling, and that tells you a little bit about the depth as well that Immanuel have got out there. We will say this, the jumpers, an interesting clash, because there's green and white stripes and there's light blue, dark blue stripes, but very similar. And the Immanuel jumpers are actually a little bit, the numbers are a bit small, Indy, when they get over the other side of the ground. But you know what? We're here for the people watching, and we're going to do our best with what we've got. I've got the specs on, you haven't. So I'll probably call the close-up ones, and you can call the far ones. But no, we'll be fine. Of course, always interesting to see who wins the coin toss. The weather we'll come to in a moment. But I always like having a bit of a yap around what we might see today, Indy, and from the coaches under pressure. We haven't seen Mark Bickley. We know his background, of course, but right now in 2022 he's coaching Immanuel, and everything you've done in your football career previous, as well as Tim Weatherall, of course, you know, he's a very decorated career, but it's right here and now, and it's your development of young men as well. I love to see these high profile coaches, and what are they like on game day. So I guess the first thing is, what will we see, and the tactics. And I asked Tim about that. Is it backline focused? Is it forward line entries? And then what about the midfield? Because a lot of coaches these days talk about, just put it in the front half. We see last night Fremantle had 7 inside 50s and didn't have a shot at goal. So putting it in the forward half can be one thing. Here's the run out. Have a listen. So that's Immanuel. Wait for the Westminster Roar when they come out. We'll come back to our little discussion in a moment. Jeez, tell you what, there's a little bit of biffo in that as they run out. So the Immanuel boys are toughened up. So they're out on the field, and they look resplendent in their jumpers there. Jogging around, number 33 there, Tyson White. A little bit of a warm-up. The Westminster lads are just moving over. So, yes, we talk about these theories that coaches talk about, India, put the ball in the front half, but you've still got to score. I know it sounds silly, but you've put it in the front half. You've got to score from it. No good just getting it in the front half. Keep it in there and score from it. And just covered the WA Championships, and we did the senior Colts over there, and they had 20-minute halves, and the coach just said, well, we have 6 possessions and we want to be having a shot at goal. I was discussing that with Tim off air. So some interesting things. Tactics, what are you looking for tactically from the coaches?
Yeah, well, Mark Bickley described his ambitions to play a more attacking style, and in spite of only getting 32 points each in round 3 and 5, he wants to show that ambition to play a high-scoring game. His reserves team did do that by scoring 92 points and limiting their opposition to 13, so that could be almost a bit of a blueprint for the boys above them, and we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, so just waiting on Westminster. Here they come. This is the best run out in the competition. Have a look and have a listen to this. Because we've got the vision noises from our microphones. We're about 150 metres away from that, but that is one of the best run-outs in this competition, and yeah, a little bit underwhelming today. I built that up, and yeah, out they came, but they're on a mission, this team. So we talked about tactics, we talked about noise. It'd be interesting to see both coaches, are the toes on the white line. I see down there Immanuel are warming up down in the goal square, and Mark Bickley's down there with the board still talking to the players. So you become very animated, and on the sidelines, do we see the toes on the white line, and is the coach going to be up and about? Is he going to sit back? What are we going to see from the coaches? Always interested in that. How they use the assistants, and Tim mentioned who his assistants were, and very well credentialed as well. So, these kind of players around the developing young players. I think also the thing that's a critical factor, as I said, they talk about the front end and the back end, but it's your midfield clearances, isn't it, of course?
Yeah, the midfield clearances, I mean, they're a big factor in a couple of games that we've watched throughout the year, and especially in that top-of-the-ladder clash with Prince Alfred and Sacred Heart. Clearances, while they don't determine the game and fixate the result, they're a very important statistic to give you that territory advantage. And any team that can take advantage of repeat entries, lock it in, it could cause headaches for the opposition when they're finding themselves playing in the defensive half for such extensive periods and constantly putting their defense under the pump.
And it's that thing, like you said, if you're in the defence, it can be disheartening if the ball keeps coming in. You're a defender and you kick it out the wing, or you kick the half forward and it comes back. You kick it out again and it comes back, and you start to look at body language, then hands on hips or heads drop away, stuff like that, because it can become a bit demotivating for the players. They're putting all this work in and then not getting the scoring opportunities. We often talk about that too, Indy, the game played between the 250s. So a team will put together 2 or 3 possessions, and it'll get down inside 50, and then bang, it's out the other side. It's like watching circle work at times, and you think all you need is that player to straighten up. You alluded before, Westminster number 25 is not playing today. Anthony Munkara, causing the Essendon Academy. I'm sure he's watching at home. We wish him all the best up there in Northern Territory, but he'll be a big loss for Westminster today because he won our prestigious beanie last time we were down here and spoke very well on camera with the interview. So how they cover a player like that, and they've got another couple of players out as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, the evener upper, if you like.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would allow Immanuel to really take advantage at that hole. It's a massive hole to fill, but at the same time, it's a good test for Westminster's depth, and it will be an opportunity for them today to learn to play without relying on a team full of stars, but a team of cogs that all work together in the same clock and accomplish the hopeful 2-point result that they'll be looking for at home here. But we've also got to do a bit of a weather update, Tony.
Yes.
So,
sorry, just coming to the coin toss. I'm just looking there. That's Isaiah Wilkes, and that is Gus Solomon here. So we'll just watch the toss there, see who wins. And it's won by Isaiah Wilkes, and it looks like they'll be coming to the left of screen by the way he pointed. And so that means Westminster will be going to the right. So we know who's won the coin toss. Very quickly, umpires today. Akram Rashid, I had a good chat with Akram before the game. Find it very interesting, first of all, and secondly was Payne Souter. But I do talk to umpires these days, Indy, so very nice to meet the gentlemen who are going to do a great job. You can see how cold it is. The people up there rugged up with the blankets there, and that leads us to the weather, mate. Fill us in.
Yeah, well, they'd be rugged up over on that stand because unfortunately the wind is blowing into the stand today. It's going from left to right of screen, which means it's actually coming from the north. Not usually that common down in these parts, but that's how it's playing out for today. And it's definitely going to give a bit of a chill over for the fans in the stands there. They might come down here later on, though, because there shouldn't, fingers crossed, touch wood, wherever it might be any wet weather during the game itself. There's predicted to be some later in the evening, but the actual game should remain mostly uninterrupted, although wet weather shouldn't affect the ground conditions too much because the groundskeepers at Westminster, at this ground, do a fantastic job of taking care of it. The paint looks absolutely perfect, and more importantly, there's no real muddy patches. They just know how to take care of the ground. The cricket pitch, the goal squares, it's all consistently green, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's a lot of sand underneath the soil at this part of town, so that definitely helps to play into it. But nevertheless, it's an overcast day, so if you are looking to warm up a bit, then you shouldn't be praying for the sun to come out.
Big roar from Westminster there too, as they in their respective huddle, and they're down our end of the ground, and that was a huge roar. And I see Mr. Trevina just walking past, his son number 3 there, Will Trevina, who's down at Glenelg as well in the under-18s, and he'll be playing today. So as we said, there's a real smattering of sample of local level lads, and you know, you have that 1, 2, 3 years of school football. Some of these lads have grown up and played football together, so they actually meld really well. And, you know, you see that come out in the game when the goal is scored in a celebration. So just having a look around, we see number 44 here is Kaylan Knox, very slightly built lad out on our side of the ground on the wing. The rucks go in there. Big, geez, I reckon, is that Phoenix Foster? It is, number 13 there. So he's the ruckman for Immanuel getting set, and Big Goad, well, he is an absolute giant. Taylor Goad, number 17. Number 3 there is Will Trevina starting in the middle. Good solid looking lad. Number 9 is Rupert Miles for Westminster, because Westminster in the green, Immanuel in the blue. Just waiting now for boundary umpires to come out. And not sure, we haven't got a goal umpire at this end of the ground, so there could be there's going to be a little bit of a hold up. As look at all the players, they're all up and about, they're G'd up, ready to go, and there's no goal umpire to the left of screen. So
I think he's doing a lap to get around now. You could see someone with a flag running from one end of the oval to the other. There he goes, he passes on screen.
Geez, this is like a horse race. Come on, Indy, give us a lowdown. He's running into the wind too.
Yeah, well, the wind's actually just died down a bit. I've saw the flag go down.
He's got a drink in one hand, flags in the other. That's
preparation.
A factor
playing into it. You've got to balance the drink out. Don't spill a drop.
And, of course, looking at this, as I said, well, actually, Immanuel are going to the right of screen. It was interesting watching that reverse camera. So they're to right of screen. Westminster to the left. Umpire holds the ball aloft, and in they come, and yeah, well, Goad gets that tap over, but it's taken away very quickly. 2-3 handballs already, and that's Lachlan Treadwell. Gets it across, but Big Goad, nice. Saw the vision outside. They're inside 50 with a handball. Quickly on, a player was in space, but the ball was put behind him. They go forward here, Westminster. There's an opportunity out the back of the pack. A player tried to soccer it. Couldn't get it through. Great tackle there. It's on the boundary, all taken high, and that is Jack, not Ginnivan, Jack Wisneski, and that was a fairly high tackle. So he runs around, opens them up, holds the point of the ball, and that is the first score on the board, but that happens to be a point. So let's have a look at the kick-in as a player, just putting his boot back on here for Immanuel as well. And that is the big fella there, Will Kitty.
Don't normally get players up in the
Sportal
radar of number 64, but thanks to Sportal for putting that minor score on the board for us. As the kick-in comes out here, but Westminster looked to be prepared with the response, kept the eyes peeled, and a forward 50 entry here. Max Robertson decides to go a little further, and deep into the pocket finds Jake Agnew. Now, not a particularly high percentage shot.
Yeah,
the angle will demand him.
Got that breeze coming across, hasn't he?
Well, he's probably going to have to go with a right to left kick from his perspective, which would be left to right from ours. He does favour the drop punt. And couldn't quite get it to go through the big sticks. Hits the scoreboard again though, and Sportle will make sure we get another minus score on the board. And here's number 70 for Immanuel, Josh Altus. So some very high numbers out there on the field.
You normally find they'll give you that first kick. So he's looking inside. He's going to have to come along the line down towards the halfback flank. Oh, rising high was the Westminster player. They come inside Immanuel. That's daring play. But geez, I'll tell you what, there's a player running by here, and that is Skip Barrow. The crowd come now, so there's a little bit of congestion in the middle. Player hopped up there holding his head because that cricket pitch area is quite firm. This is Brad Jackson on the left foot. Really neat kick. Well roved off the pack there by Gus Solomon, the captain. Inside it's a high kick though, and that is a very nice mark taken by Mitch Irvine.
So Irvine from halfback tried to go with the risky drop punt down the corridor and it didn't pay off. It's been intercepted by Riley Hill. He assesses the options. Gets it back into the forward arc and marked by the man at the front of the pack. We believe that's Robertson. He decides to go deeper. Oh, I'll tell you what, I reckon if he revved up that shot, he could have gone the distance.
Yeah.
It was straight, but he wanted to go to the pack instead. That's our third consecutive minor score, thanks to Sportle.
Young Max, he just rushed that a little bit. Geez, nice kicking action there. Runs past again. He's getting... Oh, geez, I'll tell you what, they've messed up the handball. And nice vision here out to Jake Wisniewski. That was Will Trevina running past for the handball, and the handball missed. And, geez, I'll tell you what, that can be costly. So, kicking into the breeze, Westminster have had all the play. It hasn't even been up the other end of the ground yet. We are 3.5 minutes in. Wisniewski running in, very straight. Kicks it high. Breeze is going to play around with that, but I'll tell you what, very nice kick. And don't they come at him. So the boys are happy there with Wisniewski getting his first, and we'll go to the Sportle scoreboard. Have a look here. So he's, as you're seeing this player coming in, he's got the wind coming straight into his face. Kicks it quite high. It did blow around a little bit, but a nice goal in the end, and that's how you do it, and they're all around him. So that's a good start for them, Indy, almost 4 minutes in.
Yeah, the wind couldn't stop him there, but unfortunately Immanuel stopped themselves on that occasion. A couple ugly turnovers trying to compose some risky plays in the early stages of this game. Umpire will take the ball back to the centre, and Mark Bickley watches on, probably thinking in his head that he made a couple of errors early. Well, it looks as though Westminster coming out of the midfield once again, but it's only going as far as the Immanuel defence. The tackle was good. No free kick was paid. Immanuel get out of trouble for the moment off the back of Wilkes, but his kick is smothered. Constant pressure being applied by Westminster here and a bit of a dumping tackle, but the umpire wants to call the ball for himself.
So as you said with Wilkes, senior player was very close to playing SA Country versus WA today.
Yeah, so no country football today, but plenty of school action to get underway in the afternoon. Tackle couldn't stop the kick coming out there for Immanuel, and they've got an uncontested man. It's Phoenix Foster. He runs on. Tried to look for the one-on-one option in the arc. Unfortunately, it doesn't favour Immanuel for the moment. The crumb could mean everything. Talbot with a kick around the body, and we believe that one's gone out of bounds on the full, Tony.
Yeah, he showed a bit there, young Oscar, didn't he? Just that he took it and he turned before everyone else. He's a bit sharper between the ears, but sometimes you get excited with the two big sticks coming up as well, but didn't direct the kick. I think the thought was there, but couldn't quite direct it. So let's have a look. Oh, Westminster player went to go one side of the ground, came the other, kicks to congestion, puts it in a dangerous spot. Can they get it out, Westminster, this way, that way? So he's going to come the boundary. That's Archer Byrne, who we have seen previously, and a very good player. Just that intercept punch in. Very well done there by the young Immanuel player. And I'll tell you what, he's come a long way up the ground. That's number 70, Josh Alter. So you look at a few of their players, Trevina, of course, Foster, very good in places, Wilkes and Altus, already giving us something to look at. So Westminster come around. That's a high kick that's just going to go up and down. Big Goad can't get to it. There's the player we've been talking about offline with that kick, Isaiah Wilkes. So plays senior football back home. All of a sudden you get back here and everyone's young and fit. There's no slow old blokes out here and put under a bit of pressure. They'd certainly have him in their sights as well, Indy.
So now defensive task coming out for Westminster. Trying to get it coast to coast now. They dominate a lot of the ground early, but they're now at the stage where they're forced into the defensive half and the defense suddenly has to pull their weight. The ball will be thrown in, not by anyone in traditional umpiring uniform, but a rugby jacket out there should be able to keep you warm in these conditions. It's about 17 degrees today, and that'll go down and down as the evening and afternoon progresses.
Riley Hill with a nice turn out of the pack there, but a lot of pressure. The ball's stuck down there for that 2 or 3 minutes at the moment, so not able to get it out. Westminster have probably got to kick across the wind to get it in, and Immanuel really want to get a shot on goal, but you see Westminster just a kick along the ground. First to the ball, well done young man, and gets bowled over Will McKay for his efforts there, and going back. So it's, as we said, just stuck in this pocket at the moment. Umpire just says straighten up a bit there, lad. Throws in. I'm interested to see if there's anyone behind. Goad wins the tap. They've got the spare out the back, and I tell you what, he can run, but he gives it to a player, Kalen Knox, who gets caught. So free kick now. Let's see what they set up with. So that's a nice kick from went for the fat side there. That was Riley Davey. You can see some method sometimes in how they move the ball, and he's going to have another shot now, big Oscar Talbot. Just the method in what Immanuel are attempting to do. Kicking to the fat side, kicking to the space. They pick up a free kick here. He will have the wind right behind him. He's probably going to kick right on 50. You can see as Indy alluded to, the ground there beautifully marked. Beautiful conditions out here. So just coming in is Talbot. Nice kick. And that is through as well. And it sounds like there's a bit of noise around. So obviously the reserves have come out, or a lot of parents and supporters up there in the grandstand. So that puts their first score on the board, and a 3-point lead at the moment to Westminster. Thanks to Sportal, our scoreboard sponsor for today. Ball is coming back to the middle. Our magnificent umpire in there, and it looks like he's going to take all the throw-ups at the moment. That is Akram Rashid with ball in hand. Just waiting for the 666 rule. Of course, we've got the 666 and the stand rule as well.
Yeah, allow for some younger players to optimise to what's currently being applied at the major level. That was Foster coming out of the ruck again, we believe. Immanuel, the forward momentum stops here. They've conceded a free kick. Wilkes just getting his man a little bit too high, and that man being McShane. He slows up, in no rush to get this next clearance off, but he likes the high drop punt. Into the forward 50, not marked by anyone, but a crumb leads to a further entry for Westminster, and shoving his man in the back leads to a free kick to Will Kitty. Now Immanuel with some ground to cover, and lots of ground to cover from here, in fact. Will McKay slows up, waiting for the shouting players to provide some productive options. Josh Altus goes further, finds one on the wing uncontested. That's Talbot. His kick cut off. Pressure applied here, the tackle from Barrow on the wing, struggling to keep it alive. The ball eventually comes over the line, and we've got a 3-point game here, and we're over the 10-minute mark at Westminster.
So Oscar Talbot, West Adelaide 18s, plays basketball, Goodwood Saints. Half South African, best subjects are English and maths, and probably language. But, yeah, pretty handy player. He certainly straightens up Immanuel when they go forward. I was just going to say the exact thing we said in the pre-game about kicking between the 50s. What happens, it gets down, Westminster get it down. You either want it to go through rather than just be turned around and come out. And I've been impressed with Immanuel a few times. I have been able to get it out. Bit of space here. Player hurriedly around the corner. Skip Barrow, what a magnificent name that is, young man. And really love calling that, Skip Barrow. And gets it down exactly into that spot again. I notice at the moment, and the player's just put his hand up for Immanuel, there's a big mismatch because Taylor Goad, the ruckman, has come in and he's standing on Will Kitty. And Kitty's put his hand up. He's giving away about a foot or 30 centimetres in old terms there. Not sure. Down in the forward line, so I'll see who they've got in ruckers. Sorry, as they come out now, Westminster, they run the ball. Just a hack kick down the wing, puts it in front of the runners, and the winger from this side of the ground is Kalen Knox, who's gone over the other side. Streams by for a handball, didn't receive it. They've got a spare back here, Immanuel, but it bounces fortuitously, and that's a kick back into centre forward position. Free player because the Immanuel players had run on. Now it's the inside 50. Once again, they've gone the fat side. 2 players go for it. This way, that way. Can't shrug them off. I reckon that's the big fella again in Oscar Talbot. So they're outside 50, come inside again. It's a ground ball. Now you need your crummers. And umpire says, there's a free kick. So fortuitous to Immanuel. I like the way that they're trying to get their patterns, their diagonals, across the ground, out into space. And twice now, they've done that. Opposite sides of the ground, they've picked up a free kick to a smaller player. So this is Macklin Mackay. So we'll see how he goes. The wind's going to come across his left shoulder a little bit, so it'll be a little bit left to right. And there's the kick, left to right, ends up being straight through the middle. So well done, young man. And there's a key, or there's an art in understanding how to kick that kick with that wind like that. So well done, and I'd say well coached maybe, or very good with his skill set. Very deliberate. I like that. Good lesson here. Watch the left-hand post. So it goes there and just blows back that little bit. So well done, young man. And they've got their second on the board, 2 straight, 12. So they're now 3 points up, 13 minutes in. And there's Timmy Weatherald on the bench, not looking too fussed at the moment.
Well, the game is still in its relatively early stages, but Immanuel now with the recent momentum, they've kicked 2 consecutive goals in the row. Ball coming out of the centre, Westminster rushing out the clearance, a snap around the body. Will only make it as far as the Immanuel defence, but the pressure's applied here, legally so, by Jake Sivia. Almost looked a bit shovish, but the umpire let it go. Got another ball up here, just outside the 50-metre arc for Westminster. It rolls out. Immanuel, the first one's onto it. The kick smothered. That one's likely going to be forced over the boundary line, so some interesting play time here because we're still in the relatively early stages of this game, but a bit of fatigue might be crawling in. Tell you what, I don't think Westminster's forward line's been the problem. In fact, there haven't been glaring problems for either teams here. It just looks like really good arm wrestling football out there. Immanuel trying to come out with it. The skipper tackled, had it and not penalised, but Westminster come out anyways and arguably waste an opportunity there. Tom Wilkinson with the intercept for Immanuel as they reset. They seek to go out wider, but doesn't quite work to plan. Applying some tackling pressure, taking the ball to turf. Immanuel trying to come out with it, but to no success as Westminster force the pressure on and a ball up in the centre square.
So big Oscar Talbot's come in to do the ruck now, and he's up against Jake Agnew there. So they're just trying different players. Geez, I'll tell you what, he can play a bit, this kid. Really like the look of him. Talbot, he's had a very good quarter and he's in the middle now, and I said he'd straighten up the forward line. So you see now, Westminster don't argue there. This way, that way, they run, but they're in trouble. Oh, player just barges through. The second one didn't quite make it through, and I was just going to say, Westminster have only had that ball in their forward line once in about the last 5 minutes, and now it comes back. It's almost a mirror image. Both teams are playing their ruckman now up forward. And this big fella here, we'll wait for him to turn around. Big Phoenix Foster. Yeah, that was a telling mark, and exactly what we're saying. You get the ball down into the forward line. Well, it's nice if someone can clunk it and kick it through rather than turn around and come back out. And Westminster, we're seeing under pressure. They started good early. Now it's been all Immanuel, and you can also see a lot of numbers up the ground here. There's a bit of a press on. Let's see Big Phoenix. Long way from hand to foot for the big fellas. Oh, bit of a hop and hop. And, yeah, doesn't quite get hold of it there. So, off to one side. That's their first point. So, let's have a look at the kick-in from Immanuel the first time to see. Oh, he plays on too. So, he's going to come out this side. He ran a long way. He ran very close to the man on the mark. So, what that does is becomes a 50-50 high ball. And look at them, Immanuel. The pressure's there, and they're able to force a ball up.
Ball up on the broadcasting side wing here as the ball comes up. down again. Tackling pressure applied by Westminster.
Phew.
Immanuel. Tackled up here by 2 Westminster players, but they managed to ease off the pressure and escape from it. Davey enters forward, and there's a mark in the pocket. Zach Earl looks around the body. He nearly stepped off his mark there, but decided not to go. He does ultimately decide to centre it. He wanted to go to the other far end, and that was probably the smartest option he could have gone for. Well played by Zach Earl.
That's 3 times this quarter they've gone to the opposite side. Exactly what you said, Indy. He centred the ball, probably went out the far side rather than having a shot.
So this is Phoenix Foster once again, a familiar presence up forward, and one that they haven't had for a good portion of the year, Immanuel, but to come back into the new school term with a refreshed Phoenix Foster could be a really big boost for this team. This time, using the same type of hopping technique, but he gets it through the middle, learns from his mistakes, and takes Immanuel up by 10 points.
Yeah, so he's a boarder from the Eyre Peninsula, Norwood under-18s, on the farm, and he's a keen golfer, believe it or not. He's a big fella. How's he see that little ball? And geez, I tell you what, he could belt it around there too. I don't know over on the Eyre Peninsula. I know certain parts they've got, they don't have a green. They have like grey slate that you play in. You rake it and then you hit the ball. So I'll tell you what though, football might be his go because he's a handy player. I've liked himself and Oscar Talbot, both of them really coming into play. And yeah, there he kicks a goal and now he's back in the ruck. So in the middle he goes. He'll be up and about too, but big goat. He's just so tall, but it's one thing to do the tap. It's what happens next. So what an outstanding, a couple of great ruckmen in these lower level teams. And there he is, takes it out, runs off, gives it, immediately took off out the back as well. This is Trevina scrambling the ball forward. Numbers there, and that was Harry Cook who got the ball in, and their delivery has been fantastic. They got another tall down there. So this is our man Oscar Talbot again, kicking from a pretty similar spot where he got the last goal. So he's going to kick this from 50. Ball looks pretty small in his hands. He's a big fella. Oh, just leant onto that, trying to get that bit of extra oomph, and just faded away at the last moment. Didn't quite hit it correctly. So we see another kick in here from Westminster. Will they do the same thing, Indy?
Well, they've elected to go long the past few times, but trying to play on here and dodge around his man. Not sure how this is going to play out.
Not very well.
Didn't really know what he was doing there, and the tackle coming through from Emboscado, that's got to be a free kick against Westminster because he got his man in the back. Well, ultimately you could say the free kick was stiff, but I'm not really sure what Kovacic was doing there. He just, instead of going for the simple kick in, he tried to take him on and didn't quite work. So now Lucas Wells for Immanuel.
I think he worked out, he got past the first player. He ran himself into trouble, couldn't get past the second, and great pressure though the other way from Immanuel.
Well, once you bite off a bit more than you can chew, that's when you run yourself into trouble. Now the task is reasonably simple for Lucas Wells, and he delivers. It's another goal for Immanuel. That's their 4th consecutive goal now, Tony. They're on a run of form.
We might have to pull those sheets out again and have a look at what they scored earlier in the year. They might be scoring more in this first quarter than what they have for a few of the games. I think you've got the Immanuel sheet. We'll have a look at that later.
Well, they scored 32 points full time in round 3 and 5. So to be at 25 by quarter time, you'd only have to kick 7 points from here to match that.
So Timmy Wetherell there just under a little bit of pressure at the moment. They opened up well and then haven't been able to get it down in the forward line. They had the one time into the forward line, and I reckon since the 10-minute mark of the quarter. So round they come again now, Westminster. Ball just bobbling along the ground, so we see a good 50-50. Players having to get down, and that was Trevina put his head over the ball very well there and goes in again. So he really dominant in that engine room, Trevina. I've liked him. He's got the ball out a few times. The 2 big ruckmen, I'm really loving this battle. As I say that, the ball hits the ground, but it's a free kick again. Oscar Talbot, he's had a big influence on this game in this first quarter. That's a beautiful kick too. That's a magnificent kick. And this is Dylan Evans. So just goes short. And yes, it is. I was just going to say, so 3 possessions, clean possessions, and in the hands of Oscar Talbot as well. Now, he's come across again to the middle. Player leading out. Geez, I'll tell you what, he took that in a bit of traffic. So umpire was called play on, and that was Connor Knight.
Yeah, I reckon Connor Knight was a little bit stiff there because I thought that mark looked very close to certify, but...
Good effort too, wasn't it?
Yeah, nearly deserved to be paid the mark on that effort alone. Nevertheless, it's a ball up now. Holding the man free kick's going to be paid to Westminster here so they can get out of trouble for the moment. They whack the hand down to turf and say, just slow it down, boys. Riley Hill wants to do that, but he also wants to kick long, and it doesn't pay off because this man, Phoenix Foster, is a dangerous presence in any big pack, and he'll stand above everybody else. Goes into the forward 50, didn't necessarily favour the numbers, and as a result, Westminster can try to get it out of trouble, and hopefully this time find a way to. Tackling pressure applied by Barreau, though, makes sure that it comes back into the possession of the umpire to ball it up.
They certainly have picked up Immanuel, probably from the 5-minute mark of this quarter, their pressure, the gameplay. Oh, player Go just swung the arm around, and I think he connected there with Phoenix Foster as the ball goes down into the forward line, but went back and apologised, so maybe it was an accident. That's good sportsmanship, but yeah, it just looked a bit unsavoury at the time, but might not have been deliberate. So player with ball in hand, you can see the soccer team warming up in the background. He's going to go the check side, doesn't quite connect correctly, and a very hard kick to do, of course, unless you practice it twice a week at training. Another point on the scoreboard, though, and they are scoring freely, so 4 goals 3 they are at the moment, and maybe 4 goals 4. So ball just out on that 50. Can Westminster put a string together? The players are running, kick down the ground. I worry about this, the 50-50, and player held on to. Umpire has allowed it. Now they're running very well, but there's no one up forward. So player had to stop and prop. All that was in front of him was Immanuel. So big fella here. Josh Aldous has been good down back, puts his body over the ball, goes in again, may have dragged that back in. Umpire says ball it up. What happened there? Westminster, they're doing the press down the ground to try and get congestion. When the ball came back the other way, they had no one. Poor old Gus Solomon had no one to kick to.
Yeah, they're finding themselves in a bit of trouble here, Westminster. Can they get it into the forward 50 with clean conversion? No, it goes out the other way. Wilkes with the clearance. It's 2-on-1 in favour of Westminster, but nobody takes the mark. Tackling pressure being applied by Talbot. Westminster now coming through the corridor, going straight for the forward 50. No mark coming out once again from the pack. Immanuel with the extra numbers, planning to get out of trouble, but tackling pressure keeps it within distance of Westminster striking. They've got a mark here down practically right in front of goal. 15 metres out. Jake Agnew will take this one. And he wasn't a goal kicker earlier in the match, but I think he missed an opportunity. We'll have to look at this one here and think, with the quarter set to come to a close, 24 minutes and 50 seconds past, and Agnew hits the board at a very crucial time, brings it back to what will now be a 2-goal margin, and I think that'll take us to the quarter time break as we hit the 25-minute mark.
Yeah, it's that type of game. It was a much-needed goal, wasn't it? Because they just haven't had it down there. They've had it down twice in 10 minutes. Inside their 50, and at least they had someone down there this time. The last time they got it down there, they've been so focused on defending that they had no one up forward. So good on Agnew there. They've sorted that out.
Well, the siren hasn't gone yet, but we're 25 and a half minutes gone, so it could be going at any second now, as attending the centre bounce was Talbot for Immanuel. Tackling pressure coming at the hands of both teams, and more specifically Immanuel, though, as Westminster's first ball users were able to get onto it quick enough.
I can tell you very quickly, actually, I'll wait for the break, I'll tell you a little story.
Once again, Talbot playing ruck time, so you have to wonder where Foster is, whether he's on the bench or he's playing deeper up forward. There's a free kick here, there might still be time for one more goal. Jack Wisniewski, who's already a goal kicker in this match. He kept the eyes peeled, got it to a good option. They're trying to go further here, and it's Agnew once again. He could kick goal number 2, and Westminster's 3rd goal. before quarter time. We're 26 minutes and 25 seconds past now, so this quarter going longer than the average school leagues quarter. There has been a fair bit of goal kicking going on between the two teams. So Jay Agnew, South under 18, made SA under 16 team this year in the national champions. Goes for home and gets it straight through the middle. Westminster back in it.
Yeah, geez, a late comeback there, and the person on the siren and doing another bit of work up there is our magnificent extra cameraman and assistant here, James Moody. It's his son, young Oscar, who played at 8 o'clock this morning on this very ground, and he does a magnificent job up there. So I'll tell you what, that's brought it right back, hasn't it? So 3-3-21, Westminster to 4 goals, 3-27, Immanuel. And just in those notes, I said the first 5 minutes was Westminster forward, and then Immanuel, I think they lifted, pushed forward, they had targets up forward. The two big talls are doing a good job. Got some scores on the board, and then just late in that quarter, Westminster fight back on their home ground, and 6 points the difference. We will take a short break and be back with the wrap-up in a moment.
G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a 1-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au.
Welcome back, folks, and very entertaining game down here at Westminster. Westminster playing Immanuel, of course, and we can see the coaches out there. Both teams have got their groups into the three, so you'd normally have backs, mids and forwards, and both teams are doing that, so no panic stations at the moment. The score, of course, 3 goals, 3-21 to 4 goals, 3-27 with Immanuel leading. So we'll just go through Westminster goal scorers, because Jack Wisniewski with 1 and Jake Agnew with 2 late goals just in the last couple of minutes of that quarter, and that's a good catch, Indy. I'll tell you what, that could be the mark of the day there, just swatting that mozzie out of the way and saving all of us here from Ross River fever or whatever else might come our way. Also better players, so Gus Solomon, number 3, always a workhorse. You see him around the packs doing a job. I've liked Jack Wisniewski, number 4 in there, and of course Jake Agnew popping up with those couple of goals late. And then number 32, Riley Hill, really nice, neat user of the ball. And I did like Emboscado at times as well. We'll go across to Immanuel, goal scorers and better players from you, Indy.
Yeah, no multiple goal kickers so far for Immanuel, but there have been 4 separate players hitting the scoreboard. Macklin McKay, Phoenix Foster, Lucas Wells and Oscar Talbot, all with 1 goal each. And you probably definitely have to say Phoenix Foster has impressed so much playing part-time in the ruck and pitching up forward. Same with Oscar Talbot, who those two as a tall key position duo have been extremely deadly. Josh Altus has also been trying to string things together from the back, as well as Will Kitty pitching in a little bit. Will Trevina as well is playing a good game. Definitely give some credit to the captain, Isaiah Wilkes. And you'd probably also need to mention the efforts so far from Zach Earl have been really good. And I'd also mention Mitch Irvine and Evans pitched in at points that quarter. So overall, a pretty consistent team effort. It's just a question now of, well, those last couple of minutes were the only real sour patch. And I'll be fair, the first couple of minutes of that first quarter as well weren't great for Immanuel. They did concede the first 4 scoring opportunities, albeit only one of them ended up being a goal. But after that, they kicked 4 consecutive goals, but they conceded another 2 consecutive to Westminster. So that's left this game in a position where Immanuel probably aren't up by as much as they could have been, considering that they dominated most of the middle portions of that quarter.
So that first round, just talking about their scoring shots, because they really got going after 5 minutes. I'm just looking at my notes there. They really lifted and went forward, and to finish as well is very important. Well, they kicked 13 goals, they kicked 12 goals, 8 first round. So that's 20 scoring shots they've had. Then they kicked 32 scoring shots the next week. Then they were down to 12, but 4 goals, 8. They also kicked 4 goals. Well, they kicked 4 goals, 8 2 weeks in a row, as you alluded to, and then they tied with St Peter's 10 goals, 5. So they're up around that 12 to 20 scoring shots a game, which is quite impressive. If they can score currently like they are now, they've had 7 scoring shots already. So they obviously know how to get the ball down there. And you touched on it, the 2 big talls, Oscar Talbot and Phoenix Foster, are really giving them targets up forward. And I think Goad really needs to lift in the middle as well. So our sponsors, Dartfish, Simon Black Academy, Sports Interactive, Filming Footy, and of course Sportal for our scoreboard. And you are with Indy Rogers for the start of the second quarter.
Westminster still in striking distance. It's early stages of the game. We'll remember that quarter time against Scotch, a game that we streamed earlier in the year, they were able to come out and really dominate the game after quarter time. Well, they're composing themselves in the midfield at the moment here. They weren't able to shake off the tackling pressure of Foster, though. That's just a little too much for any man individually on the ground to handle. Riley Hill clears it out. Mark taken by Wheaton. He tried to go further, but he played on too quickly, caught with his hands in the cookie jar. It's going to come back to Riley Davey. Now Immanuel on the rebound. A chance to respond. They go out wide. They fired Lachlan Treadwell. Go further. Another uncontested option on the wing. Immanuel happy to take it a little bit slow here before going longer with a high drop punt. Sort out the pack. There's a whistle. There's a free kick coming out. It's going to go against Immanuel. The ball is back in Westminster's hands. McShane goes out further. Finds a vacant man. Well, they found another vacant man, but he didn't mark the ball. Now Immanuel can punish that turnover. Composing on the wing, going forward with a bit of a helicopter action drop punt. Finding the spare Crummer. Goal side was looming. And unfortunately, I believe the kick coming off of Zach Earl was not converted into a goal. Only a minor score. And Sportal will put that one on the board for us to make it a 7-point game.
So 3-3 to 4-4 and kicking out. Geez, I'll tell you what, they're impressive, aren't they, Immanuel? They can turn it around, and this is Harry Cook. Geez, plays on immediately. Nice left foot. Oh, puts it up high. Players congest. They're under pressure back here, Westminster. Player dived on the ball, which can get you in trouble. Can they get it all taken high, that player there? There is some really good pressure by, player taken in the comic cuts there. That's Zach Earl. He's taken a kick of the ball and smothered it, but he'll get up. That's called winded. We call that, and good tough lad, well done. But I tell you what, their forward line pressure is impressive. That umpire's thrown that a long way in, taken the ground by Big Goad. And this is what I was asking for, maybe a lift from Big Taylor Goad. And the other player, Archer Byrne, I've just seen there, number 49. We've seen him play some good games for Westminster previously. Tried to take off earlier, couldn't get his running game going. And if you look just off the ball here, they've got a couple of spares. The big ruckman is back directing play about 30 metres off the ball. So let's just see whether Westminster can get out a chain of handballs there. And 38 is Henry Kittle. So he's just dropped that ball down towards centre-half forward position, ball on half-forward flank, and boys just a little bit feisty there, as you do. And Jake Agnew in the middle of it as well.
And Agnew's causing trouble up forward, so Immanuel want to make sure it doesn't go down there. Tackling pressure applied by Riley Hill. Umpire's going to take that ball straight back because there was never going to be a formal conclusion to that endeavour. But another stoppage restart. Westminster tried to combine to get it out this time, but Hill didn't quite hit the ball to boot the way he would have liked. It spills out to the wing here in the chaos. Immanuel tried to clear it out, but under pressure, it's an out of bounds on the full kick. The ball will come back into the hands of Westminster with Josh Smith to kick it in. Takes it slow. So this is on the near wing in the ground, the streaming end, and what would in our wildest dreams be the broadcasting end. As Riley Hill goes further down, looming into some forward territory now, taking a mark in the pack. McKay, no, that's not McKay, that's Goad. He turns it over. Goes inside forward 50, but Immanuel were there to intercept. And now, from coast to coast, can they rebound, Tony?
There's big pack forms, but can Westminster turn around? They get a couple of handballs going. Riley Shepherdson, players under pressure there, and right or left foot. So I'm really impressed with young Riley Hill. He plays a good game. Comes around now, that left foot just to scramble forward. And as you said, Josh Altus has been really stoic for them down back. They come out to the wing. Ball just dribbling along the ground. Westminster will get there first and just bang it back. But it's a kick and hope. It's not a kick to a player. Showing a good pair of heels there, number 12, and that is a great kick. Well done, young Brad Jackson. They're inside 50 with the mark on the far side. We'll tell you who this player is when we get a number. But at the moment, in front of the magnificent buildings out here at Westminster, he'll kick right across in front of the Thomas Pavilion, the grandstand there. Very deliberate. Oh, he just runs out to the right a little bit. He's kicked that very, very high. Gives the forwards a chance. They all fly and the ball bounces on the ground. Around it comes now. See what their clearance is like. Oh, he just looked up and spent that before he got it there, Will Trevina. But great to see an on-baller being down so deep in the back line as well, helping out. So you can see once again, a lot of players, when we get the long shot, a lot of players in this area of the ground.
Ball comes back in. Westminster territory. Umpire will take it back into his hands as Immanuel will be trying desperately to apply the tackling pressure required to prevent another score here. They came out and kicked the first of the quarter, and well, the first minor score of the quarter at the very least. Comes out to the pocket here. A lone man for Immanuel takes the reliable mark. Plays it safe. They carry the ball passively, but they'll have to assess options further up the ground. And the Westminster defence stood better this time. Knox taking the mark. So the wind's just dialed down a little bit of the ground here. So Westminster won't be riding these kicks as far as they'd like to. Certainly not as much as it would have earlier in the game. Coming down to the pocket, the ball spills and eventually tips over the boundary line for the umpires to take care of it.
Yeah, a little bit of feeling in the game too. It's been physical, good sportsmanship, but very physical. So Agnew having to take the ruck. He just waits at the back, misses the ball completely with his foot. The umpire throws that in a fair way. So I think Phoenix Foster will have to pick up. There's a hack out of mid-air there. We'll have to wait and see, get a replay on that, because while we were talking, player just kicked it. We'll have a look. I reckon that could be Agnew, is it? We'd see the player on screen there. See if you can pick him up for us, Indy. It came in quickly. There was Agnew there. Missed the ball. Bobbled around. Went back. Geez, out of nowhere. Wow, that is a great goal. We'll find out who that was. We can see who it is, but boy, oh boy, that was a great goal, though, to Westminster. And opportunistic, we say, as we're 7 minutes in, and you can see 1 point on the scoreboard. And I'll tell you what I am impressed with. We had that couple of minutes of scrambly play down on the right in the pocket, but the rest of the game, quite impressed with the skills as well, Indy.
Yeah, the skill set has been up to standard for both teams, hence why it's now only a 1 point game. Immanuel applying tackling pressure in the middle, Westminster returning it with some of their own. Another ball up in the centre circle. Dead centre of the ground.
Reckon that was Tom Wheaton who scored the goal. Sorry, I've just spotted him.
Thank you for that. In the meantime, McKay has received a free kick for what we believe was a ruck contest. Sorry, Taylor Goad has received a free kick for Westminster for ruck infringement. How about that? Massive contested mark. That was all body. And then a bit of hands as well to secure it.
Player down too.
Yeah, someone's come off a little bit hurt as a result. And I think the umpire might even be hand signalling to hold up play
He's
here.
moving. He's moving, which is a good sign. But two players there. I'll tell you what, though. First thing is care for the players. That was a massive mark. If we can talk to our producer and try and get a replay of that at some point, that's got to be mark of the day. But I'll tell you what, this is fantastic, is just to see the players be able to stand up. And, you can come off, but hopefully he's not too severely injured. But that was a towering mark, Indy.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, Agnew will try and finish off that extremely admirable marking effort.
So they've got two players coming off. Ben Rogers just coming on for Immanuel. Second player's holding his hip. First player came off not too bad, but the second player's really holding his back there. And I thought that might be young Oscar Talbot, Anyway, they've kicked the goal. Is that Agnew again?
Yes, it is.
Kicked
and
his
now,
third.
for the first time since the first quarter, Westminster are in front.
So he's kicked his third, and what are we, 9 minutes into the second quarter. So very good. Just a towering mark it was, but that's what you want to see. You get the ball forward, and it stays in the forward line and turn around and kick a goal rather than coming back out. We've been talking about Immanuel's defensive pressure has been great, but two of their players came off, so that was their effort in the pack as well. So big goad. I asked for a lift from him, and looks like he's got it, but they're answering it again is Talbot. They're inside 50 again here, Immanuel. So can they get the quick answer? I probably could have taken the mark there in Pescado, but didn't realise where he was in space. I tackled and dropping the ball, but the big ruckman, gee, I'll tell you what, he's impressive. Comes around this way, that way, and player went over, but the ball didn't. And that is Harry Cook with a high kick in, and almost a mirror image. Two players go up. Can they get up? Westminster. And that, of course, is Oscar Talbot, who we saw close up him and Phoenix Foster a moment ago. And I'll tell you what, very imposing figures, Indy.
That was a really nice centering ball from Harry Cook. Kept it alive. His body went over the line, but the ball stayed in play. That allowed him to get it off to Talbot.
So Talbot it is. We've seen him have a few shots today. Very deliberate. I like this. Take your time. Set up. And he's got to kick it over. Now, I like to see that too. The opposition ruckman is the man on the mark. So he's got to kick it pretty decently to get over him. And they love it too. Get around him. I tell you what, it's almost the shootout in regards to, you see Jake Agnew take an absolute spectacular grab down one end, go back, kick the team lifting goal, comes down, here's the grab. That is a great grab. And then you see the ball comes down and Oscar Talbot takes a real telling mark, and he kicks the team goal for Immanuel. So it is what we call a shootout, and okay, you show us what you can do and we'll show you what we can do. And twice we've seen this where before it was Foster, this time it's Talbot, kicks the goal, now he's back in the ruck up against Jake Agnew. There's the irony.
Free kick paid here. Umpire comes through with the whistle for high contact. That'll favour Immanuel and get them a centre clearance swim. Will Mackay. High ball. Into the arc. Intercepted though. That's a really good mark from...
It's a good player, Archer Byrne.
Archer Byrne. Knew exactly what he needed to do. Stood his ground. Went further out to the far wing. Spoiling effort there coming from Riley Davey. Made sure that wasn't going into anyone's hands except for the umpires, who will throw it in.
I'm really impressed with the standard of play today. Some games you get patches and that, but the whole game, there's really good patches of standard of play that come across the pack and spoil it, get it over the boundary. I'll tell you what, haven't seen Immanuel this year, neither of us, and I'll tell you what, they're very impressive.
In the meantime, the wind at the ground is starting to pick up in pace again. A little bit of a chill blows over. Hopefully those in the stands have got the rugs and haven't lost them. Mark here in the forward 50. It's going to give an opportunity to Will Trevina. He
Very
is happy
industrious. Yeah, very industrious player today. He's been down back, and be good to see him get a reward up forward as well.
Yeah, happy enough with the set shot. Not a particularly acute angle, but the distance is fairly demanding, albeit within the arc. There was no doubt about it. As soon as it came off the boot, the players were already chanting for him. Immanuel now go up by an additional goal. 7 points.
Yeah, so, geez, it's a real goal for goal, isn't it? You know, Westminster have kicked 2 this quarter, and Immanuel have kicked the 1, and, geez, really going well. Or they've kicked 2, sorry.
Coming back to the centre circle here. This ball goes up. Tackling pressure applied almost immediately. An umpire was quite quick to call the ball up. Stays within the centre circle. Shows neither team willing to give an easy inch. The clearance comes out from Agnew, who's playing on ball at the moment. You probably need him up forward because there's their best goal kicker right now. It won't matter here. They found an option from a short little chip kick there. And it will be Gus Solomon, the captain, for Westminster.
Geez, I'm loving it. Isn't it a shootout? Goal for goal. You go down, kick one, we'll go down and kick one. And that's the story of the second quarter at the moment. It's amazing.
Momentum swinging back and forth like a boomerang at the moment. And Solomon steps on it, doesn't convert. It's a straight kick game.
That's their first point for the quarter. So we get another look at the Immanuel. So we saw Westminster kicking in from this end, really running that ball out. So now Immanuel load up on the other side. So they go down the far side. It's outside 50. It's a big, big pack going up. Look at them all trying to get onto that ball there. There's probably 15 players, 16 players around that. It's the rolling maul, we call that in rugby. Nice kick forward, and there's another grab up forward again for Westminster. So it is that. I'm really enjoying seeing this where it gets down forward and a player takes a grab and they're going to finish off with a shot at goal. So fantastic effort. And this is Lockie Ingerson. Haven't called a lot of him today, so let's just see. Slightly built lad. And you've got to have more than one avenue to goal because they've relied on Agnew a fair bit. Ingerson comes in, puts it up high, and player. Look at all the people behind the goal. They celebrate. So that is a sausage roll. So well done, young man, to Lockie Ingerson. And so, gee whiz, what a game we have on our hands. Nice kick by the umpire just to get that ball back to the boundary ump. But gee whiz, we've got a game and a half on our hands here. 34-40. So 6 goals for. Well, it's actually 6 goals for each now. So yeah, scores are tied as we speak. So this is a fantastic battle here. Now we've got the true ruckman back in the middle. Goaded is, goes up, tries to get it down, and industrious Riley Hill pushing that ball forward. And as we said, it's getting a bit like rugby there at times. And that was Wilkes getting the ball around. We've heard a lot about him. You haven't seen too much of him. Nice kick there, though. I reckon that's Zach Earl, maybe. Player getting a lot of possessions, but puts it into a dangerous area. Will Trevino, that 45 diagonal. This is Wilkes, couldn't get down to it. Player number 24 is Jake Sivia. Oh, taken in a big, big tackle there. We've seen a bit of this today. That was number 22, Declan Kolb. We haven't called much of, but that's what this player Wilkes can do. Plays against senior men every week when he's not playing school footy. Ball comes out now, just a hack kick forward. Once again, a little bit of congestion. They're out here. Well done there by Rocco Kovacic, the wrestler. Geez, that's a high kick, though. Anyone's ball. Right on that wing, and they're battling for it. And there's a few players just jogging in now. And I'm just saying there are wings on the other side. So the wings from this side will be here. There's no midfielders in the midfield as we speak. So there's a lot of congestion around this ball. Ball goes up. Both ruckmen tap the same way, which was Westminster's advantage. It comes back to Goad. Gives it back. They're going. I thought he went the wrong way there. Player now, just a left foot kick in forward. That 2 or 3 metre space is enough for the player to get the ball in. And that was Oscar Talbot, but cut off by Westminster.
Westminster with an opportunity to reset here. Scores are tied. Spoil comes through from the Immanuel defence. It was a good one from Norton Hayes, who we haven't called too much today. Bit of a high tackle coming in there, we believe. Yes.
Kayla Knox, a winger.
Yep. Kayla Knox, who we also haven't called too much today, but he's been in it here and there. Lays a drop punt right down. Goes down the wing. I believe that's going to be paid to the man in front, so that will be a mark for Taylor Goad.
Battle of the Ruckman.
Yes, and this time Goad prevails. He's been fighting against some tough ruck candidates down there today, and further down the field in the forward line, an uncontested forward 50 mark for who else but Jay Agnew. He could be kicking his 4th goal of the first half, Tony. This would be incredible.
South under-18s, as we mentioned, made the under-16 team, national championships, and certainly knows his way around a footy oval. Indy?
Absolutely.
Good size too.
He's what you want from a forward.
Wow.
And that type of kick lives up to his
whiz.
skill set. The ceiling on this man goes a long ways up.
That's his 4th, and that's their 4th for the quarter as well. So they've got that little bit of a lead now. They've kicked 4 goals 1 to 2 goals 1 for the quarter. I'll tell you, just looking there, who has died off. We haven't called Talbot that much, although we saw him, but also big Phoenix Foster. Haven't called a lot of him. Had such a dominant first quarter, I guess.
Well, I reckon Taylor Goad's really turned it on in this second term, and that's been a big factor in stopping the influence of those 2 big men. So that was definitely a good signing from Tim Weatherald as the coach.
First of the ball, Immanuel there. Now the big fella goes this way, that way. Geez, I'll tell you what, he's inside 50. That's a big kick. Oh, player just not able to take the mark was Zach Earl. Appealing to the umpire, give me something. I was pushed. I had my hands on the ball. Couldn't get anything out of the umpire. No sense of theatre there. So this is number 20, Rocco Kovacic gets it out. The wrestler gives it to Riley Hill. Went to go diagonally inside. Now goes longer, but good vision as well. It's one thing to get around, but it's how you spend the ball, and he's done that very well to Jake Sivia. He goes the fat side, or a player trying to push to get across there. Zach Payne, haven't called much of him, and the ball just... Geez, unfortuitously dribbles through for a point down that end. It was such a good setup from one end to the other, such quick ball movement, and unable to capitalise.
Yeah, a bit of a lucky break there for Immanuel, because that rebound effort from Westminster was something else. Something we haven't seen too much in this game is that super quick and clean coast-to-coast transition.
Well, if you get it happening like this, you get the midfield. That's a great tackle.
Oh.
You get the midfield caught behind you, and you're away.
Riley Davey caught. Westminster
tackle.
gifted an opportunity for the effort.
Oh!
In here, completing the mark. He wasn't the man in front, but Agnew knew how to stretch his arms over, and he showed it to his opposition as well. He said, "Look at my hands. Have you got him?"
Wow, how good, like telescopic, he reached out over the pack, didn't he? We'll see if we can get a replay of that at some point, maybe after the goal, but once again, we've seen some really telling marks from the young man, and he's playing state under 16s, so he's probably got a year or 2 left down here at school.
He could be champion in more senses than one if he could kick a 5th first half goal. He does! Crowd took a bit of time to incorporate the reaction, but eventually
one of the best points ever scored at Westminster, mate.
Oh, okay.
I love the call, though.
Yeah, there was a bit of crowd hype
There
over
was.
that one, so...
Well, that's how excited they are, mate. They're calling points now. Like, the noise is so loud over there. They're loving it. Get it down to him, they're saying. Get it down to Agnew. Wow. So big Goad now. He's got to get down below the knees, and that's good to see a ruckman do. Just a scrambled fit kick forward. So can Immanuel build here? They've got a spare back here, and this is Archer Byrne. I've seen him play some really good games and just not quite into it today. So Immanuel inside 50 again. Player sets himself, goes up one-handed, having to do it on his own and can't do it. He's in Brusca. Oh, he's taken there. Just collected high there, and Oscar Talbot gets it out. Oh, just wriggling around here, the players a little bit. Oh, taken high there. Unlucky to get the free was Trevina. So they could be out now. Round they go. That's better. I reckon that was Byrne in the orange boots, but gives it back to Immanuel. A few players just spent there. Hands on hips and hands on knees right in front of us, and that is a fantastic telling mark. Young Rupert That is Henry Kittle. Well done, young man. Gets it across to Angus McShane. Now we see this. They're very good at using the possession. We saw that clearance out of the back line, but guess who's up the ground here? Jake Agnew. It's a big ask from him. It's a long kick, but gives it back. Didn't quite spin right and gives it back to the opposition. But, geez, I'll tell you what, he spun around. The umpire gives they have got a free kick here.
Incorrect disposal. So now, Westminster awarded with another opportunity. Surely this time they can convert. Not quite there. Extra defensive numbers around for Immanuel. They sense the danger of Westminster's current momentum. 4 goals in the quarter and another one could loom because they've intercepted it once again. Taking that mark, I believe, is
Jackson it was.
Jackson, who gets
called
it off with a short kick into the arc. An opportunity here for Gus Solomon, the skipper.
Seen him up forward a little bit today. He's normally been through the midfield as well, but up forward a bit. So, he's going to kick from about 50 here.
Well, Jake Agnew's also pitched in a little bit on the ball throughout the day, so that's maybe allowed for Solomon to sometimes chop out and play some forward duties. He doesn't quite handle that set responsibility on this occasion.
I reckon he's kicked a couple of points this quarter.
Westminster could be up by even more here had they conceded a couple more missed opportunities. It's 7-7, we believe, to 6-5. 24-minute mark.
Can Immanuel load up? Can we see a late goal from Immanuel as we did Westminster in that last quarter? Coming down the far side, that was courage by the player for Westminster, actually. Rupert Miles didn't quite get there, so they're loading up here. Oh, I'll tell you what, player in advantage. That's twice he's gone for a mark, number 10, Zach Earl, and hasn't been able to hold it. So, ball just dribbles out in that forward pocket. Can they get a late one?
Not much time in the quarter to do it, that's for sure, but it is in forward 50 territory for Immanuel. They'll value that advantage. They'll have to win the ruck contest, which Goat has been making sure they can't in this quarter. And the last line of defence probably secures Westminster from conceding another score, which they do. So fantastic quarter put together by Westminster after they trailed at quarter time. And Immanuel definitely not out of it, but with a lot of things to think about as they go into the halftime break. 49 points to 41. And that should lead us to our first halftime break. We're going to join you and provide some further coverage during the break. But for now,
G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a 1-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au. G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a 1-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au. G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a 1-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au. G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a 1-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au.
Welcome back, folks, and I'll tell you what an entertaining game it has been, Indy. We came here today, a little bit of intrepidation, what's going to happen? Is it going to be one-sided? Are we going to see two even teams? Very impressed with the standard of play today.
Yeah, it's been extremely impressive from both teams, actually. Both of them spilling pretty close to the 50-point mark. I mean, being above 40 points by halftime is always usually a good remark of the game itself, because these have been overcast conditions. It's been a little bit chilly because of the wind, but both teams have really soldiered it out. Plenty of tackling pressure, but plenty of nice clean passages from both sides as well. Ultimately, it was Westminster in that second quarter, though, who came out on top.
Yeah, so let's have a look at Westminster. First of all, the goal scorers, Wisniewski with 1, but Ingerson with 1. Of course, Jake Agnew now 4 for the game already by half-time, and he's really stamping his authority on the game and really helped Westminster in that first half and particularly the second quarter. Tom Wheaton has 1, so maybe try and find another couple of avenues to goal. But if Agnew's going so well, why would you change it up? That's the other side of it. Better players. Well, Gus Solomon, the captain, very industrious, and we're seeing him up forward a little bit more today as well. Jack Wisniewski was liked at times. Jake Agnew, the standout player for me for Westminster. The one we did ask to lift from is Taylor Goad, the ruckman, and I thought he got on top of the Immanuel ruckman in that quarter. And as we said, one of the things you look at with players when you're drafting and just looking at player development and that, you see the big tall players, but first of all, has he got a second effort, and second of all, what's he like below his knees? And he got down and got a couple of those balls below his knees. Very good, and competing well in the middle. The other one, pardon me, Riley Hill, number 32. Really like watching him play. He's industrious again. Stands at the back of the pack, gets in the middle of the pack when he needs to, but right or left-footed. Goes both ways. And Kalen Cox on the wing was the other one that I haven't minded today as well. So we'll cross over to Immanuel Korzindi.
Yeah, well, it was a much tougher quarter for Immanuel, but that's not without some highlights. I mean, Oscar Talbot was quiet, but he did still kick another goal, and he's their only multiple goal kicker for the game. Phoenix Foster had a really hot first term, but cooled down a lot in the second. I still reckon Will Trevine has been one of their more consistent players for the match. I think Harry Cook is a smart ball user. He's had a couple of really good kicks. Zach Earl, there was a really brave smother that he had down this end in that quarter.
Correct.
That was the gut-hurting, stomach-wrenching smother, but it was a very brave effort from him. And I'd also have to say Riley Davey and Lucas Wells have been other players who have been pretty good so far for Immanuel. So they're not out of it. Josh Altus is another in the defense who's been trying to string things together. I reckon Will Kitty was a bit quieter in that second term. Ben Rogers had some moments in the second term, though, after being a little bit missing in the first. So everybody's pitching in a little bit. I think it just had more to do with the fact that Westminster weren't turning it over down the corridor as much, and they cleaned themselves up.
Correct, and we can confirm the scores are currently 7-7-49 to Westminster and Immanuel are 6-5-41. Now, Immanuel was 6 points up at quarter time. Westminster are now 8 points up at half time. So Westminster kicked 4-4 for the quarter and Immanuel kicked 2-2. So they doubled the scoring. And we said in that first quarter, Westminster got the ball down, and then Immanuel pretty much took over for most of the quarter apart from those last 2 goals to Agnew. But then in this quarter, it was a real shootout. It was a goal for goal each end, and it was like, well, we can do this, we can do this. And then we see Agnew take the big specky, and then, of course, was it Talbot down here that took the big mark as well? So it's a real old-fashioned ding-dong shootout, but Westminster got on top, and if they can get that ball forward and finish, we spoke about that pre-game. It's one thing to have the ball in your forward half or say, let's put the ball down in the forward line, blah, 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 but you've got to be able to finish. The other bit that you mentioned with Zach Earl with that smother, I think Immanuel have got to be happy with forward line pressure. So when the opposition do have the ball, are we putting pressure on them, not letting them get it out easy? So very impressed with that. I think we're going to take another short break, and we'll come back. As the umpires are just coming out on the ground, we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back with a really, truly exciting second half.
So,
Well, here we are, folks, and have a look at Immanuel coming out. I'll be interested. I got so excited pre-game with Westminster's run out, and was a little bit flat. Didn't go quite as I thought, but it is a fantastic run out. Maybe we couldn't hear it because of where we are, but there's Immanuel coming out, and they're up and about. So it'll be interesting to know what Mark Bickley and his assistants have said to them. But first out on the ground, the umpires. Have a look at the umpire there, sitting in the middle of the ground there. What's he having, a pie and a Coke? Is he? Have a look at him. No, he's stretching up, of course. They're doing a wonderful job out there, our umpires, and they are, of course, Akram Rashid and Payne Saunter. I probably went through 15 years of senior football and didn't know the umpire's name in any game, and now you do your homework as a commentator. And I've probably mentioned the umpires 3 or 4 times now, Indy, so they are very important. It's good, though. We haven't mentioned them much on commentary, and I say that with all due respect. If you don't notice the umpires, it means that they're doing a great job, which I think they are. So Immanuel are up and about. There's Mark Bickley just wandering past, clapping the hands and urging them on. So they are up and about. They're in it with a chance. As you said, last game, Indy, a draw. Couple of close ones early in the season. So they would have to come here with a sense of belief, surely.
oh, absolutely they would. Halfway through the game, you're only down by 8 points. You've got plenty to play for, and winning this game would secure you not finishing any lower than 5th on the ladder and potentially going to as high up as 4th, depending on the results of St. Peter's Old Collegians, of course.
Yeah, so, we haven't mentioned much of that, but there is that, I guess, hanging on the end of it, depending on other results. Here they come out of the tunnel, so the mighty Westminster, go Westies as it says, and they'll come out and do their little bit of a warm-up down this end, have a look at the opposition. So Immanuel just side to side, a bit of that side work as well, forwards, backwards, they'll be all warmed up, keen, ready to go, and Westminster come out. Just interesting little note, you see the players there, 3 or 4 footies, and we just take it for granted, the red footies and everything. Covered the Western Australian Championships recently over there, and we saw the Colts games, and I said, why are they using yellow footballs in the day games? And they said, we all play with that. All around the whole of Western Australia during day games, they play with yellow footballs, yellow burleys, and the reason I'm mentioning that, if you've ever had a yellow footy and it's a burley or whatever the ball is, they're like a cake of soap once they get wet. I mean, the red ball's hard enough to handle, but the yellow seems to be even more slippery. Just a little thing that I noticed over there, and I thought, that was quite bizarre that they use the yellow football through the day. Of course, we've got it right over here. That's what all that matters, and players now warming up, and I always found it hard after half-time. You come out and you've got to take that 5 or 10 minutes to warm up. Well, you've got to be on. You've got to be switched on in a game where there's only 8 points. The difference here, of course, Indy. We'll talk about some of the game styles and patterns of play. Of course, down the line, we've seen a little bit of today, but I'll tell you what, we saw Westminster at one point there go bang, bang, bang from one end to the other. Very impressive, and we've seen a bit of a contrast with Immanuel where they've gone to the fat side a couple of times.
Yeah, Immanuel do like trying to take a bit of a... they had their own little exchange periods in the inside 50s when they get them in there. They don't just plan out the long bombs all the time. They like to keep the eyes peeled. They keep an eye out for those shorter options, and they use the pockets. They spread the arc. They don't narrow it down. Whereas Westminster are a little bit different because they do like shorter kicks, but I think a lot of it just comes to do with the entries being simplified and spreading out the defense and getting them to do extra time in other areas. So I reckon Immanuel's the better crumbing team, and defensively they've been really good in the packs, but their forward functionalities also hasn't let them down too often either. I think it's a lot to do with Westminster. I don't think it's as much of Immanuel slipping up a crucial part of their game. It's more to do with Westminster really just cranking up the intensity, turning it over less, and, well, sometimes it's frustrating when you realise that you were beaten in a quarter because the other team took drastic improvements.
Yeah, I think Westminster, you're right, probably had 60 to 70% of the ball that quarter, and you see when Agnew, we see the vertical leap, so he goes up into a pack and takes a big mark, but we also see when he ran out at the ball, if you can imagine, the arms went horizontal. That it was like we used to call Stephen Copping back in the day, telescopic arms. His arms kept going like Mr. Gadget. They ended up about a foot out in front of everyone else. And that was a great grab. To take a ball horizontally and one grab that we talk so much about with players, to see him do that rather than try and take a chest mark, because by the time you try and take a chest mark, a punch will come in. So you see that Agnew really straightened them up. Backwards or sideways, we haven't seen, which has been great out here today, we haven't seen too much backwards kicking at all. We've seen a little bit of sideways, but it's mainly been probably on about 35, pardon me, 35 to 45 degree angle, where they're trying to get that ball either out wide, or we saw Immanuel, very bold play. They come from outside on the half back line to inside. So very good use of the ball by Immanuel, or trying to get those patterns right. So I've been very impressed. Short or long kicking, what have you seen there, Indy?
Well, the wind suggests that the team kicking from left to right, which I believe in the instance of this quarter will be Immanuel again. And that means that they could be kicking to the forward end with some much longer kicks and could really letting some sails out for some goals. But Westminster, on the other hand, I think they did struggle a little bit in the middle portion of that first term when they didn't have the wind advantage. So that's potentially one to look out for in this quarter. You could see the Immanuel forwards making their way down. But right now, we're focusing on the centre circle. Umpire waiting for everybody to be in position. A talk with the coach. A little refreshments. And we're ready for another half of football. I know we are, and hopefully the players are too.
And you can just see the wind to the left here. You can still see the trees moving around, but it's not significant, although the flag on the far building is blowing a fair bit. So big goat it is in the ruck, and he goes up against Phoenix Foster. It's pretty much 0-0, but they're inside 50 Westminster with the first kick. Ball just bobbling around. He needs to lift a little bit, Isaiah Wilkes. We had a lot about him in the pre-game. Up it comes, and there he is. I tell you what, he's super impressive, Jake Agnew, and really liking his game currently. South Adelaide be rubbing their hands together watching this lad get around, if that's the future of the club, if they can hang on to him, of course. He's kicked 4 already. Comes in, oh, just a little stutter there. Comes in, very comfortable kick and across the face, so offline, but what are we, less than a minute in, and they've got a point on the board already.
I think that's 4 goals 2 now for Agnew. So if he converted at least one of those, he would have had those 5 goals, and potentially before half-time. But it's after half-time now, and the pace of the game could change in many different ways. We're going to find out exactly how as Foster gets a ball going out to the far wing. But Westminster Crummers are the first onto it. Kovacic combining with the 1-2, courtesy of Wheaton. They go out further. Sticking on the far wing, but eventually getting it into the forward 50 arc. No one's there, though. Will Kitty. No, he wasn't able to outpace his man, but neither were Westminster able to convert.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
That's what we'd call that. Ambitious as he was running in. It's hard because you're running square to the goals and trying to bring that ball back. So umpire just holding up here because I believe that was actually on the full. And is he waiting for the ball to come back, maybe? That's what it is. Poor old Josh Altus had to go into the next suburb to get that ball back. And now the poor kid's leading in the pocket. Give it back to him, for goodness sake. Yeah, good on you. Geez, he's put it up high. Oh, he's got good hands, though, Altus. Don't mind this player. It's this next kick. That's what we're talking about. Just massaging the ball along. Player, yeah, pushed in the back right in front of us here. So this player will now get the ball. And that is Will Mackay. Or Mackay. He'll probably be able to come in and tell us what his name is. Anyway, tries to massage that ball forward, and guess what? There is Agnew again. This will get a good idea because he's right on the 50. Just takes 2 steps, punches the ball in. Solomon can't take it. It's not Solomon, sorry, it's Jackson. Comes back towards Tom Wheaton. Oh, around the corner. They're under pressure here, Immanuel. Quick handball across from Trevino. Has had a good day. Player put down. So downfield it'll be, and that was Riley Davey. One of the ones you mentioned earlier, Indy. Zach Earl it is. Goes this way, that way. Oh, awkward kick. Comes in towards the Westminster player. Player had to put his head over the ball. There he is again. I'm very impressed with young Trevina. They're going crossways. Will they go the fat side? It's worked for them a couple of times today. That's a high kick by young Phoenix Foster. Hits the ground. Westminster. Ball just bobbling around there, but player has a lot of time and space to use the ball.
Yeah, trying to juggle the ball a little bit there in the defence, and it didn't pay off. They ended up turning it over, going for goal. Connor Knight! He gets it!
Wow,
Immanuel draw first blood of the second half. Limits the margin to just 3 points now, and that was after a bit of back and forth with the teams, but primarily it was Westminster trying to get it into their forward 50 and not quite converting. Now Connor Knight at the other end, who hasn't had the biggest of matches, but that was a big moment for Immanuel.
Snavelled it up on the mistake from Westminster and trying to come across goal. It didn't work, and that can be super costly. And yeah, well, Westminster, like 2 points, and Immanuel go down and get 1 goal straight away. So game on.
Nothing's coming easy here at the moment. Foster taps it out. The tap continues to roll because no Crummers were able to get onto it in immediacy. Ooh, tumbles down the forward. Immanuel get back up on their feet. Combined with some hands. Slick out a nice drop punt for goal off the boot there. We're going to try and get a look at who exactly that was. We believe getting the hugs around him. Trying to take a look.
It's got nice boots. We'll be able to tell who it is no matter what happens. Number 7A? No. Yeah, I reckon it might be Macklin Mackay with his second goal.
Yeah, so he would be Immanuel's second multiple goal kicker.
So we saw the first quarter, we saw Westminster get the score, and then Immanuel went down, went bang, 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 bang. Then the second quarter goal for goal. Now we've seen Immanuel with 2 answering back, and they've hit the front after being 8 points down. What a great game this is. I'll tell you what, he's been industrious, Trevina. Oh, he's put down in the middle as well. So Westminster, can they turn it over? They need to. Geez, that's a high kick out towards player here. Oh, he wasn't able to take it, little Jack Wisniewski. Strong tackle there by Will Kitty. Liked him in the back line. Oh, tell you what, that is strong physical football. Wisniewski tries to go too neat into the middle there, and player, I'll tell you what, Isaiah Wilkes puts his body over the ball. You're not going to get it back off him. Almost a bit Viney-like, I reckon, at Melbourne. Just solid over the ball. Good tackler at the ball as well. Wow, player off 1 step, don't tell me. And that was Henders McShane. We saw a lot of him the last game out here. He's got that real loping run down the wing and that, but geez, he can play a bit as well. You see 2 outriders here, either side. They'll normally give you the first kick into the pocket, and Will McKay goes there eventually. Player was out there for a while, and that's Lachlan Treadwell. Gets pressured on the kick. Up it goes, down it comes. Can Westminster capitalise again? Bobbles around. This is just a hack kick forward, but that'll do. Player's not able to take it for Immanuel, so streaming forward. Player picked it up on the bounce. Out towards half-back flank, and time to reset because they are under pressure here, Immanuel again. So, of course, that's last possession, isn't it? In it comes again.
Yeah, the last possession rule taking stance here. So that's one that isn't in the major level, but the 666 rule as well as the stand on the mark rule are present. Going further, Knox, well, couldn't hit a man at the front of the pack. Riley Davey coming over with a big fist. He's been very good in this match, providing some... He hasn't been major key position player, but he has a tall presence that gets him to the spoil. Coming out now, Goad. Had a really great second term. I reckon Immanuel have come out on top in this instance. A high tackle not paid. Trying to get through traffic here. Govicic goes further. The spoil, the chop out. Can't keep the ball alive. It'll tumble over the boundary.
Jeez, I'll tell you what, he had a good set of jets. You call the footy. I'm going to have a look who that was. That was Kovacic. Jeez, he had a good set of jets on him there.
So the umpire wearing a short sleeve white tee. They're getting fashionable nowadays, aren't they? Especially at this level. Well, that was a fashionable attempt at goal, but Sportle will only read it as a minor score from Brad Jackson of Westminster.
So they're out the other side, and I'll tell you what, he's got a great kick on him too, Altus, but he's put it back to Westminster here only because it came off the pack. Or player fell across there, thought it was a bit high, and that is Riley Shepherdson. And I'll tell you what, the players for Westminster are screaming out for it, left, right and centre. Tell you what, he almost sat as he took that mark, young Max Robertson, and
25 metres.
A little bit of chit-chat out there, I believe. So this will be a lay-down misère. They're not even bothering taking the mark. So he plays on. Surprised he didn't do a drop kick. It had everything, that one. So Max Robertson has kicked the goal, but much needed because they've kicked the 3 points. Finally, they get the goal. And I'll tell you what, we keep saying it. It's changed again, the lead, and Westminster have wrestled it back. And I'll tell you what I did like. When that ball was coming in, young Kayla Knox was on this side of the ground, the winger. He came in. There were opportunities left, right and centre. That was a great mark, of course, in the pack. And you can see the brains trust here for Immanuel just going over the whiteboards as well. And as we keep saying, it's a very highly entertaining game. And nothing is coming easy to either team.
No, definitely not. A 5-point game now. Westminster come back out on top for the moment. This lead has been juggled around like a hot potato for a good majority of this game. Westminster come out with the clearance, kept the eyes peeled. Agnew! No, the ball hit the turf before the mark could be paid. And unfortunately, Solomon couldn't keep the ball in possession either, but this man might. Kolb lost it. Immanuel struggling to fight for it back. Twisting around. Some handy hand work. Kelly, no Kitty, didn't take the ball cleanly, and now it comes out. A bit of a rough ball to get it to the centre circle. No real setup here from Westminster, though. They'll have to go out a little wider. Eventually, they find a safer option.
Let's go.
They have a vacant man. Brad Jackson was leading for it. Decided not to go up to the pack. He wanted to stay around and see if he could crumb. Tackling a pressure from Immanuel. Umpire's happy to take it. He says, enough said.
So Immanuel get it down. 2 quick goals at the start of the quarter and haven't had it back there since. Just that topsy-turvy game. Good solid player over the ball there in Altus, and weight of numbers gets it out. Players need to talk. That's a courageous mark there. Well done floating across the front. Gets around, and that was Zach Earl. He's had his moments today. We've liked him in patches. Westminster now attack the ball, and they come through. Just a hack kick forward. There's Earl again, just as we speak. He's going to bomb it long, but it's going to go left. Tell you what, he's kicked that so well it made the distance, but was just left. I think he was trying to get that in front of the goals, and geez, what a game. And we see now players press up the ground. So Immanuel pressing up probably to half-back. There's a line of 3 here at half-back. Then there's another line down through the middle, very well structured. And this is where Westminster, we've seen this previously, they have to come out this side with the kick. Going up there, Immanuel, see, topsy-turvy, so now it's Oscar Talbot. It's Immanuel's turn to have another go at it.
Yeah, certainly. Talbot sends it back in. No mark taken. Ooh, Foster looks a little bit hurt from the fall down. Westminster applies some tackling pressure to make sure that it doesn't get out, and it doesn't.
Bit slow.
Foster's back up, but he looks a little bit queasy. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, as, well, teeth might be starting to chatter at this ground. Of course, not Tony's. He's quite occupied with his banana cake. This ball goes out of bounds on the full. That'll give possession back to Westminster, we believe. It'll come into the hands of Josh Smith.
I'll tell you what, you can't lapse in concentration at all for one moment out here, just the way the game is ebbing and flowing.
Yeah, goes to the other side of the defensive arc. Spreading the ground here, Westminster. Eventually going longer to the pack, and that wasn't a smart option because Wilkinson was waiting there to take the intercept. And they were outnumbered. Immanuel now responding with a long thumping kick going all the way into the arc. No real focus as to who it was intended for, though. Some handy hand work once again. Foster dodging around a couple, potentially too many. He gets it off in time, but both teams are still squabbling for possession out there. Umpire says there's no decisive winner.
A few of the lads just getting a bit excited out there. Player going down in back play, but the umpire says I'll ball it up. Westminster player now taking the ground. Huge tackle there. So just to the right of screen, the players are about 30 metres off the goals here, and it's a one-on-one. Now there's a player for Westminster's dropped back into the hole. So can they get it out? They do, but once again, it's just what we talk about, that hat kick. The advantage of playing in front, something we're taught from a young age, and well done, Brad Jackson. He's going to go outside. No, he's not. Well done, young man, because if you go outside, you're squeezed up against the boundary line. Why wouldn't you with Agnew down there? He's come around the corner, but once again, no one at home. Ball bounces this way, that way. Player took his time with that, Will Kitty. A little bit too casual, and Westminster capitalised. 3 players in a line. Player dived to ground, dropping the ball, so they're out again here through, I reckon that was Treadwell getting the kick around. It was, and just out of bounds. So the pressure, you need a cool head at each end of the ground. The back lines really need to hold their nerve, getting that ball out. See, the interesting bit here, it's 2 kicks back in for Westminster, but they're up and about. Player came into the back of the pack, and well done, Dylan Evans, because he alluded to the fact the umpire was going to throw that long. Now Immanuel have got the opportunity, and Earl has really come into it. That's him again getting an inside 50. Big player Phoenix Foster just doesn't look himself at the moment. Couldn't get down to it. Great tackle right at the centre back position. The umpires let it go. Oh. Coming out of the pack, and around he goes on the left foot. That is a great goal, and that could be either number 5 or number 8. We'll have a look. Is it Cook or is it Evans?
I believe it was Harry Cook.
That was a great goal. So we'll see if we can get a replay of that. But, geez, what a battle. Round it came, big tackle there. Huge tackle. Player took off with it.
And that was Harry Cook.
Harry Cook, it was number 5. And just we've seen that a couple of times today, Indy, where players have just picked up the ball off the back of a tackle and turned around and kicked the goal. And look at that, 58-60 it is. They've kicked 3-1 for the quarter, Immanuel. And ironically, Westminster have kicked 1-3.
Yeah, well, Westminster trail now, and the home fans are still trying to root for this team to once again take the lead back. It could be a quick lead change once again. Hits the pack. No mark paid to the man at the front because no clean hands were on it. The kick coming out, that's going to be downfield, we believe, because Isaiah Wilkes was tossed after he got the kick off. So, taking the kick further downfield instead. Immanuel, move on.
It's Foster.
Find a completely uncontested man. It's Altus, who's playing up the ground by his normal standard, so that's a little bit unusual. Talbot tried to center it up. Beautiful kick. It's exactly what you needed. Tyson White now, who hasn't been in too much of this game, but he's got an easy shot at goal here, and not your day, but certainly your moment. Stand up, Tyson White. Kick an easy goal. Task is relatively simple. He knows it. It's another goal for Immanuel. They extend the margin further, and, well, there wasn't much of a victor in this quarter just a few minutes ago, but now Immanuel are coming out with a far more comfortable lead.
I'll tell you, Indy, for the viewers at home, Westminster 3 goals in the first quarter, Immanuel 4. Second quarter, Westminster kicked 4, Immanuel 2. This quarter, Immanuel have kicked 4, Westminster 1. Still plenty of time. 16, almost 17 minutes gone in this quarter. Will we see Westminster now wrestle it back? That shootout that we've talked about, there's no real advantage to either team. Yes, Immanuel in front on the scoreboard, but what, 8 points? 12 points. And yet, what a game we've got on. And just as likely, so Agnew's in the ruck now. Puts it to his team advantage. They run forward. Look, they're going to get inside 50 again if that player hurries it up. This player's done good down back. Wilkes, he's brought himself into the game a bit more this quarter. Immanuel player, that's smart. Taps it forward. The Westminster player, but the Immanuel player takes it. Tackled high. Umpire's on the wrong side to see that. So that'll end up being a ball up. And that was Max Robertson, I reckon, was the player that came in. Anyway, up it goes, round and round. And this is Jack Wisniewski with ball in hand. Pardon me. Comes not quite inside 50. Big pack forms. This way, that way. This is where you got to win it. Clearance on the ground. Player put his body in, the outrider was out there, but he's tackled and puts it back in. As I said, this player's a bit of a bull. Really like him. Wilkes gets in hard. He's after it again here. Can he get a tackle on? Tries for a smother. They're inside again here, Westminster, but that's a high kick. Makes it difficult for the forwards. Player trying to wriggle out was the captain, Solomon. Oh, you only need a metre space free. Can't quite get it forward. That's touched. Oh, and just shrugs the player off. That is fantastic play there, young man. And Will Mackay will clear down the wing. And what a handy player to have to kick to. And he's played on as well. That's big Phoenix Foster. He's got a beautiful leg on him and puts it down into that half-forward line. Very fast transition of the ball there, Indy.
Yeah, I think Immanuel have elected to go a little bit quicker in this quarter, certainly compared to usual. And it's nearly broken the game open in their favour. I reckon another goal and it could become real trouble for Westminster. But they were down by a similar margin earlier in the game. Immanuel clear it out for the moment. Coming forward, trying to take the kick off, but getting smothered was Connor Knight. Comes out the other way now, but no one is waiting in the middle. Oh, well, that's quite dangerous from Wilkes. He needed to take the mark, which he should have had.
Jeez,
so he goes back in for a tackling effort and redeems himself. Immanuel play on. Reach out to the far side. Harry Cook on that left foot. Goes further. Yes. Talbot secures the mark, but he's not super confident in the range he's kicking from. He's looking off, not finding anything super pressing, but says, hey, if anybody's going to put their hand up, I'm happy to give it off. Looks as though that won't need to be the case. He has kicked 2 goals already. This for number 3. And this for a 3-goal lead for Immanuel. The distance and the accuracy go hand in hand. Immanuel, that 3-goal margin we talked about.
That's their 5th for the quarter, so Talbot, he's got a good kick on him, hasn't he, Indy? He's kicked that, look at that, there's the 50-metre line. That's pretty much gone post-height as it goes through. No trouble at all with the distance, and, they're having a great quarter. 5 goals, 1 for the quarter. I think the coach, Mark Bickley, will be quite happy with that. And we are 20 minutes in, so there's still 2 or 3 minutes to go in the quarter. Interesting, we've seen this a few times today. Talbot kicks the goal, and guess what? Comes back. He's in the ruck. So just have a look there. They've got Tom Wheaton there, number 9 for Westminster. I reckon Agnew, number 7, is the man that's going up in the ruck. They're asking him to do a few things. I don't know what's happened to Goad. I reckon he might have gone off and we haven't seen him this quarter. So that's an interesting one, Indy, to look at. Unfortunately, we haven't got the boundary ride today, so we can't tell you what's happened there. So maybe he's down. Yeah, he is sitting down in the back of the coaches area there. So that's an interesting one. That's a big loss if Goad's off. So they're forward again here. He's played a great quarter, has young Wilkes. Puts it in, and first to the ball again. Quick handball over, transition. In good hands with Josh Altus. Normally a good user of the ball, and he does. Puts it in, and this is Connor Knight with the ball. Just backs back and gives himself space out that fat side. Oh. Westminster just standing up at the last moment. Oh, a player comes in, does a bit of a Kevin Bartlett, puts it to his own feet and throws the arms out. Geez, I tell you what, there's pressure there. Player had to handball that from on the ground. There's 3, 4 on 1 out here. Picking that ball up was Will Trevino. He's had a bit of time on the boundary line getting the calves massaged, and I understand why too. He's had a fairly high work rate. Might have had the pickle juice just in recent times. Anyway, around they come. Oh, player caught. He was going to kick it, didn't. Altus, he'd like that as a backman to have a kick at goal, but they get a shot off. It wasn't by Altus in the end. I reckon that was Skip Barrow. And that's only their 2nd point for this quarter. So they've had 6 scoring shots to 4 and really capitalised and out the other side of Westminster.
Westminster find themselves down by 15 points in the closing stages of the 3rd quarter. Dangerous stage of the game is looming. And another shot on goal is offline. Take it up to 16 points now. And doing the kick-in for Westminster will be Kovacic. Someone's got to stand up now. Westminster, they've been without their best player going into the day. One of their best players of the day in Taylor Goad currently isn't on the ground. Oh. And that ball is coming off the ground as well after some nasty collision. forces a couple players over with it.
Shepherdson's just interchanged himself off, and Kayla Knox comes on.
Very fashionable umpire throws the ball back into play as Immanuel clear it out. Another forward 50 entry. They're getting quite a few in these late stages.
Oh.
Ball coming out further. No, they were following the wrong ball. Westminster, they get out of trouble. Coming out here, marked by Riley Hill, who started the game guns blazing and has still been one of their biggest sources of output today. No mark taken, but no turnover. 16 points on the near side wing. And Tony, what are Westminster lacking now?
Well, they need to get it into forward. The trouble here is you see Agnew going up in the ruck, and if he's up in the ruck and wins the tap even, they kick it forward, but he needs to he needs to be the player that they kick it to in the forward line. He can't be in both positions at once. You see him walking there with hands on hips, so he's had a big day out. It's in the third quarter, and ball comes in over the back. I always love to see a centreman or someone get at the back of the pack for that reason, because pick up what the boundary umpire's doing, and up it goes. And they're under pressure here, Westminster. They need energy. They need an igniter. They need someone to get them going. I reckon Riley Hill might be the man, number 32, as they're going to set up off half-back. I reckon this is Emboscado. We've called it times. But they come wide, and that's going to come undone because first to the ball there, Skip Barrow, player slips over. So back it comes, and I reckon this might be... No, it's player come over the mark there, has he? So they keep coming out this side and putting the big jukes up. Gus Solomon, the captain. As I said, they need an igniter. Maybe he's the one. He kicks it down. Riley Hill's coming into this pack, but player just taken out there. The hands were taken out, and that's trying to get himself in his Max Robertson. And see Riley Hill just at the feet here as the siren goes. And tell you what an interesting quarter. We have the score currently 8 goals, 10-58 to 11 goals, 8-74. We will take a short break and come back with a wrap-up of the third quarter and lead into this last huge quarter.
G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a 1-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au.
Welcome back, folks, and what a fantastic game we've been talking up here. And Immanuel led by 6 points at quarter time. Westminster, brilliant second quarter there. They kicked 4-4. Maybe should have capitalised on those points. If they'd have been goals, they'd be a bit closer. They were 8 points up, but 24-point turnaround. And Immanuel have come out, kicked 5 goals, 3 for the quarter, and they now lead by 16 points. And how have you seen it, Indy?
Yeah, well, once again, kicking with the wind, Immanuel definitely had a stellar advantage in that quarter from a territory perspective, and it absolutely helped them a lot to wrestle the momentum back after losing so much of it in the second quarter. I think Westminster, they did struggle a little bit in the back half of that quarter, particularly when it came to actually getting it out of the defensive half. It wasn't direct turnovers, but a lot of nothing balls going forward, just losing a bit of conversion. And
Correct.
That could be as a result of Taylor Goad not playing a lot of ruck time. So trying to take a look at the huddles now for both teams. I can't see if he's got any ice on him or if he's actually out in the huddle. I can't quite see him. But one thing's for sure is that forcing Jake Agnew to play on the ball and in the ruck has been problematic. And unfortunately, as a result, Westminster find themselves trailing. They do go into this quarter with the wind. They should be able to beat the rain, and both teams should be able to beat the rain. We're taking a look at the huddle now over there, and we can't quite see Taylor Goad, although he could be in the midst of it.
Yeah,
Mark
so
Bickley with a lot of verbal talk with the players.
So, they're already together, Westminster, while Immanuel was still in their little groups, but now Bex has got them in tight, and they've got a bit of feeling about themselves. Better players, goal scorers, first of all, from Westminster's Wisniewski with 1, Ingerson with 1, of course, Agnew with 4, but had to go into the ruck that quarter. Tom Wheaton with 1, Max Robertson with 1, and better players, Solomon I've had, number 3, really solid game. Jake Agnew playing a good game, doing his bit for the team now, playing in ruck. Anders McShane, number 29, I thought he really came into it. Riley Hill I've been very impressed with. Max Robertson at times in that quarter, and Kalen Knox. And Indy, Immanuel, how have you seen them?
Immanuel put together a really nice third quarter, and I think a lot of that came on the back of them perfecting some of their craft, going forward a bit more, but also their defense continuing to hold up as well. I saw Altus swing up the ground a little bit in that term, so
correct.
That's a change for the better in this instance. I think maybe the coach in Mark Bickley looked at some of the magnets and said, let's switch things up, let's change the pace of the game, and right now it's looking really good for Immanuel.
And I tell you what, as a backman, Altus would love that. Give us 5 or 10 minutes up around forward line, and you see him give that handball off that thought he might have had a shot at goal, but it was a handball off. So, relishing that role. Sometimes that little bit of a change can be the igniter that we speak about, or that little gives you that little bit of, here's an opportunity, I'm up and going. So, they go out now, 16 points in front. Can they hold on? That's the big question. 25 minutes of football to go. And, interesting, Goad's back out. Now, we hardly saw him for that whole quarter. Now he's back out in the ruck. So that's going to give Agnew to go up forward again. So he's standing down in the goal square. So let's see what happens there. Anyway, all set for a huge last quarter. The 6-6-6 rule. The boundary umpire, glorious in his white, and white, comes running out, and you're with Indy Rogers for the call of the last quarter.
Last quarter, Westminster kicking with the wind, and Taylor Goad, a crucial ingredient of the winning recipe, you'd have to think. They get it out of the middle here. Some smooth hand passing ability coming out of the middle. Mayles doesn't quite get it out to full intent. A ball up comes in the pocket, though. So that was Wheaton who cleared it out. And Wheaton's been pretty good at times for Westminster in this game. He's gotten a couple clearances off. Ball coming out of the ruck contest. No ruck victor. In fact, I'm not even sure if either player got an actual tap to it. Time will tick away, but in its early stages, does it look a crucial issue? There was definitely high contact there, but the umpire must have missed it. Immanuel, a player tossed out here with the tackle. Once again, the whistle put away. Which, trying to get it out, doesn't make it too far.
He's had a good second half, although we've still got a lot of this quarter, but Wilkes, he's really brought himself into the game, hasn't he? I think he was very important in that last quarter as well.
Trying to get it back out of trouble here. Wilkinson, his kick is ineffective. Intercepted by what looks to be Archer Byrne. Steps on the gas. Goes on the right. Deep into the pocket. It's getting chopped over here. It falls over for a behind. The margin back to 15 points as it was late in the third quarter, thanks to Sportle.
Well, 8-11 to 11-8, so similar scoring shots, but some of those have dribbled through off hands and so on. This player, Phoenix Foster, plays a good game, and I like the way that he really kicks the ball, uses it well. Oh, beautiful. Commentator's blessing there because he actually does hit a target with it, which sometimes we can call that and it goes the other way, but he's done a great job. But seeing Immanuel load up now down this side, which Westminster tended to do last quarter, so Skip Barrow with ball in hand, talking about what we spoke about at halftime. He comes down the line. Some players come inside 45. Player just a little bit ginger to get up there, Zach Earl. But when I say it's okay because it's cramped, not a joint, a knee or soft tissue. Coming away there, Foster. Now, see, they do the diagonal out the other side, so they've spread the ground wide. They're not afraid to use both sides of the ground. High kick in now. Geez, it's sat up there for a long time, but standing under it, courageous player for Immanuel. Turns around, gives it straight back to Westminster. That was Riley Hill. He's come back and got his own ball. Well done. And I'll tell you what, the first kick wasn't the best. The second kick, what happened there was smothered, but he went back in and got his own kick. And I'll tell you what, number 12 now, Skip Barrow. So we've seen two players. Sorry, that's not Skip Barrow. That's another player there. That might be, let's just have a look there.
Macklin McKay.
Is it? Yeah, so we've seen a couple. Anyway, they're into open goal here. And as you can hear by the expletive, that was a missed shot there on goal. But they're opening up a little bit here, Immanuel.
Yeah, straight into the woodwork, which hasn't happened too much today. Kicking it in. Josh Smith goes long. Wanted the one-on-one option.
Oh.
No one coming out with it. Foster fighting to keep it in Immanuel possession. But it goes back to Westminster. Only for the moment, though. Umpire cites a holding the man free kick. Ball will come back as Which gives it back.
Just a little bit of fatigue creeping in, or a little bit of, well, Jack Wisniewski's had a good game, but he's been belted around a little bit. Oh, gets it across to Archer Byrne.
Archer Byrne, they got to speed things up now, Westminster. They have got time to work with, but they're 3 goals down. They find a good option in the centre square, and that's in the form of Tom Wheaton. Slows up, assesses, analyses, in fact. Goes further to the pocket. Ooh. The option he wanted was chopped off. The Immanuel defence responded well, but a smother from Westminster keeps it in a position for the ball to be anyone's. Well, in this instance, it's no one's.
Interesting. That was Embascado there who went for that ball. He's playing up forward now. He's been down back most of the game, and he's a little bit ginger there in the background. So maybe that's the pinch hit they're looking for, or maybe they're just setting up a little bit different through the back line here. We've a player here, number 36, not quite sure who he is. We'll see if we can find out. But ball in the middle, battle the ruckman. That's been a great battle all day when Goad's been on. And the 2 top ruckmen now, Immanuel, geez, they run and use the ball well. They tend to go the fat side. Guess what? He's put it out to space, but straight over the top of the players that were leading. So Westminster have an opportunity to get it out. I'll tell you what's held up for a long time. You need, player taken high. You need players now, Indy, that can use the ball well, not panic. So they're setting up out here. I'll tell you what Immanuel did well earlier in the game. Earlier in the quarter. You saw players sacrificial acts, running out and standing players. So visually this player looks down the ground, has to kick exactly this kick, a 50-50 high kick, and hope that his players can take it. They can't. So taking the ball there was Big Phoenix Foster, who's got a great leg, and he gives that off to Connor Knight. This is very smart football by Immanuel. Exactly what I was talking about. They man up, they do the sacrificial acts, and that forces the Westminster team to kick the ball up in the air. You get a turnover. All of a sudden, bang, we've got a shot on goal here. And they're already 16 points up. So in he comes. Connor Knight. You hear the call from the background there. Great kick. And that is his second as well. The other thing I've liked with Immanuel is they've really shared the goal scorers today rather than relying on one. You've got Oscar Talbot, of course, kicked 3, but Connor Knight's kicked 2, Macklin Mackay's kicked 2, and then you go through all the players that have kicked 1, whereas for Westminster, Jake Agnew, take him out of the picture and you've got 4 other players that have scored 1. They just may need to find another avenue to goal. So Lachlan Treadwell's down there standing Agnew, and he's just giving him a little bit of a push and shove there as well. So ball back in the middle.
Hasn't been an ideal start to the quarter for Westminster, and their grip on the game is continuing to slip. Immanuel, on the other hand, are playing absolutely superb. In this performance alone, it's been a tough arm wrestle, and it's also been a shootout at times. It's really been a bit of everything so far, but ultimately Immanuel are starting to settle on this current result, and they're feeling pretty comfortable about it right now. As we get to the 7-minute mark, they're up by 21 points. 4 goals to get back into the game. Can Westminster somehow pull it off? A lot of tackling pressure being applied on ball here. Good tackling from Norton Hayes. Nothing coming easy, as the precious beanie that's going to be gifted to a very lucky player today is still in contemplation, but I think, Tony, we'd be starting to get close to that conclusion.
Oh, yes, we won't let anything out of the bag as we speak, but it looks like Immanuel might have a player at the way they're going at the moment. Just under pressure, Westminster. So just a handball out player trying to run on and couldn't quite take it. He's had a big day as Tom Wheaton through the middle there, and they're still trying to get the ball there, Westminster. But turning around, Immanuel, I've been impressed. Geez, I'll tell you what, he's done for speed there. That ball was out of bounds, but Phoenix Foster trying to push himself towards the ball. That speedier player came through there, Jake Sevier. But they're lucky with that because it'll be a throw-in. So you see he's going to set himself up back a fair way because this boundary umpire, well, as soon as you say it, he throws in a short one. But they're out again here, Immanuel. Over it comes, and that was Lucas Wells. So the player held on to. I don't think he had the ball fully then, but, geez, he was... Rodeo rolled into the ground, and that was Jake Sevier again doing the tackling. So you see now, big number 29, Oscar Talbot, comes up, and you'll see number 13 just drop across in front of us on camera, and he's gone into the forward line. So I think they've done that very well. They've really been on top in that regard when Goad hasn't been in ruck, and they've used those tools exceptionally well. That might be something when you get to interview the coach at the end, Indy. That might be a question that you pose to him about the use of tools, because a lot of coaches will just take them off and sit them on the bench, and you won't get that opportunity up forward. Speaking of which, have a look at that. That's why you do it. And there's Oscar Talbot with his 4th. And interesting how many times today we've called player kicks a goal and then he runs back and he's in the ruck. So that's happened a few times with Talbot. And I reckon once or twice with Barrow with Foster as well.
I'll tell you what, Oscar Talbot, he's got 4 goals now. He'd have to be a major contender for the beanie, because right now I think he's been contributing more across the ground than most of their other tools. I mean, we mentioned Phoenix Foster, who started well, and he's been a welcome addition into this team, but I think his presence has allowed Oscar Talbot to play his best.
I think you're correct there. Reuben Norton-Hayes we haven't called much of in the middle there, trying to get a touch as well, but he's just played a great game. Talbot is drifting forward again here, but he's just going to be out of the picture here. Doesn't matter because his teammate's taken the mark. Lucas Wells, he's had a good game, gets it across the other side, and I'll tell you what happened there with Talbot. We call this third play. He watched where that ball came in, he drifted across, realised he wasn't going to make the mark where Wells took it, so he drifted off out the other side. Guess what? Pops up, he's having another shot at goal. So very smart player in the way that he works his way around the ground, Indy. So he might be heading for a beanie if he slots this. Oh, little lead given by Lucas Wells. Wants to get it back. Doesn't, because goes across now. And this is Macklin McKay with a shot on goal. And that's unselfish by Oscar Talbot. Could have had his 5th. So, Macklin McKay, wouldn't think he's going to pass it off, surely. He's going to kick this from about 35 on a slight angle. They're up and about, Immanuel. Still all set up, just in case. Very deliberate. And unfortunately kicked the point, so maybe Talbot should have had the shot. All right, let's have a look at the kick-in.
Well, regardless, Talbot's been on top today, and right now Immanuel are on top by 29 points. I reckon the door's extremely close to being full-on shut here. And to do 5 goals in 15 minutes of play is a pretty extraordinary turnaround that I might think is a little bit out of the equation now. But nevertheless, there are still 15 minutes of football to play out. Agnew playing in the ruck again, so you had to question where on earth Taylor Goad has gone. He might be on the bench getting rested a bit. And maybe there's a fatigue factor creeping in there for Taylor Goad.
The other bit interesting, we'll just wait and see what happens here. Probably another ball up. Oh, couldn't get it out.
Tackled. Immanuel forcing the pressure, but some of their own Lockie Ingerson for Westminster.
So Westminster kicked 7 goals, 7 in the first half, and they've only kicked 1 goal so far in the second half. Immanuel kicked 6-5 in the first half, and they've now kicked 13. So certainly their second half, that 5-goal third quarter really opened it up for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So ball in the middle.
Ball in the middle. Immediate tackle pressure from Westminster, and they're angry because right now they'd be pretty frustrated with the start of the game. Wisniewski showed that. Agnew still playing in the ruck, so they haven't changed that matchup. That's a high tackle. Immanuel will get the ball here. They'll get a free clearance. An opportunity at that looks good. They kick it further. We believe that was...
Roved it.
Foster. Can't quite get it out cleanly. He goes in for a second handball. He's almost forced into a second handball because the pressure had a lot of ricochet in the midst of it. Comes out. Westminster applying more tackling pressure, but finding few ways to actually cause a loss of disposal for Immanuel.
There's Agnew in the back. He's inside the 50, but he's in the wrong end of he's in the wrong 50. He's at the wrong end of the ground. You feel a bit for him because I reckon whatever happened with Goad, they bought him out. I reckon he played the first 2 or 3 minutes of the quarter, and I can't see down at the interchange bench that far, but whether he's off again or not, I'm not sure whether he is on the ground, but certainly you'd have him out there if you could. Free kick here to Wheaton. He's certainly put his body in today. Agnew comes the boundary side, which is really no man's territory there, and he's getting chased by Talbot. Good effort by Talbot to go with him. Now Agnew puts the lead on, and it's him and Talbot again. This kick's going to go high, so it's going to be a tall man's advantage. They all go up, and guess what? Tunnelled, and that's Talbot on the ground holding his back as we speak. Gee, big punch out there by the Immanuel backman. Oh, could have been taken high. They're going to come out the fat side. No, they're not, because that's a tackle in tight. There's a player out here if they can get it out here. Did they get back up? They did. So Oscar Talbot, a little bit ginger out there. Both him and Agnew. Good matchup, if you like, of secondary ruckman. As ball goes up right at true centre back position. Oh, manual player. This way, that way. Goes in, goes back, gets his own ball, but straight into pressure there. And a manual player just down on the ground in back play, but been impressed with their pressure down here as well at times today, Indy.
Yeah, it's stood up on many different occasions. There haven't been too many major slips. It's in Westminster forward territory now, so they can make the most of what they've got, but plenty of Immanuel numbers back there. It's making the job difficult.
There's that pressure we talk about. Good turnover.
Yeah, and the pressure forced the turnover. Now it's coming to the middle of the ground, balancing the ball. Happy to beat 2 men there, getting it into the arc, but not effectively. A tackle from Kovacic will force it. No, that wasn't Kovacic. That was Delkin Kolb, who's been quite absent for Westminster today, we'll say. He's been quiet, to say the least. But Immanuel coming out, hitting a target, and hitting a good target in Connor Knight, who can line up a kick goal number 3. No, he tried to hand it off, and he handed it off to the wrong man. Jack Wisniewski will take the mark instead. After the intercept, you had to think that something could be brewed from that. Well, coming off of that pack, it looks like a man is down, and trying to get a look at who it was. I think that was Riley Davey off the ball, who just got knocked a little bit hard in that pack. Westminster, in the meantime, continued with the ball forward. Brad Jackson couldn't do so cleanly. It bounces back onto the wing here. Then Jackson trying to spoil, and now he looks as though he's got a bit of a hobble in himself. Will he get back involved? Agnew was present, but Immanuel still managed to find a way to escape. They hit a target. Will Trevina, who's been good for Immanuel today, didn't hit the target lace out, knew who he wanted to go to, but Zach Earl was forced to work for that ball because, unfortunately, the kick wasn't particularly positioned well for him.
The trouble here for Westminster is they've gone out here and there's a player down on the wing. You can just see him trying to stretch his cramping. I was watching him there for about a minute. He just stood there after the last possession and then he eventually just fell over like someone had flicked him in the back of the leg with an elastic band, the poor lad. And he's still out there. So they're really a man down with the cramp there. And look at Immanuel. Their backline has been very impressive this quarter and they've got energy. Look at this. Geez, a high kick in. They made it hard for Earl. Comes off the back here. Westminster have got their work cut out. Player drops it, gets around, inside, outside. They're out now, but it's what's next. So player running on, who we haven't got a name for number 36, so we'll call him number 36. But puts it down to the wing. Oh, player held on to from the front there. And this is where Immanuel, Westminster get it down to here, or they might get it one kick further down, and Immanuel have been able to turn it over, especially this last quarter. I'm really happy with their enthusiasm and energy, and they're very close to their men. You can see off the ball here. If this kick comes in from Westminster, a handball first, so they look up, and what they see is everyone manned up. So a kick like this comes in, that's going to probably dribble over the boundary line or get punched over the boundary line, which it will. And our glorious, well-dressed boundary umpire comes in, and Kid has to go and rescue that ball back. But, 18 minutes in, it's, what are we? 29 points in front.
Yep, 29 points the lead for Immanuel. It doesn't look like it's going to close in too much. They get the tap out here off the hands of Evans.
Fresh airy.
It does stay in what would normally be a dangerous position at a clutch point of the game, but right now Immanuel are happy to compose themselves, and I think Westminster aren't daring to challenge so much anymore.
It was a great play. I'm really impressed with Immanuel's backline. This is interesting. Runs inside, being a left footer, and kicks outside, if you like, down the wing. They've got numbers here, Westminster. Can they get it inside? They do, but it's a scrappy kick forward, and Agnew's just trying to do everything, and just... Look, I think he's had a great game, don't get me wrong, but it's disappointing that we haven't seen him be able to stay up forward. That's what's cost them to a certain degree. I think Immanuel are playing great as well, but with Goad going off, they've had to put Agnew in the ruck, and still playing a very good game, but they've just got no impetus up forward. See Immanuel clear again, so down it comes, and I'll tell you what, there's a sense of theatre, because players going down left, right and centre with cramp, and put that to about 30 metres of space. Oh, just stepping through. Well done, young man. Declan Kolb, haven't called him much. And this is Josh Smith. So Smith just holds it up, left footer, kicks out wide, and Wilkes, it was, went up with one hand, but taking the mark. Gus Solomon's battled well all day as well. They're going to have a look at inside 50. Not much leading going on. Just kicks it into the pocket. The one lead did come. Didn't get off the ground though, Tom Wheaton. And a few tired players out there as the ball dribbles out across the boundary line there. And as we said, 29-point lead, 20-minute mark of the final quarter. And Immanuel, well, they've put the cat amongst the pigeons, depending on what the rest of the scores are around the place too, Indy.
We boiled over the 20-minute mark now. Agnew's still playing ruck time, although, to be fair, he is in the forward line. He could do some damage potentially, unless Immanuel clear it out. Here's a snap around the body. That's a very good one from Tom Wheaton. Something to at least give fans something to clap about.
And that's only their second goal for the second half. They 7 goals to 6. They're up by 8 points at half time. We thought, oh, here they come. And they've only kicked the 2 goals since half time. So nice goal around the corner though, Tom Wheaton. And I often say that, don't let the scoreboard influence your traits as a footballer. Be doing in the last 5 minutes of a game what you were doing in the first 5 minutes, and well done to the young man. He can hold his head up, and he's battled through that midfield as well in this second half. We've seen that number 9 fly through there a fair few times.
Centre bounce. Not much of this game left to play, and not much to play for Westminster at this point, but Immanuel, they'd be very happy with the result they've put together. This has been a fantastic second half from them, and Taylor Goad is out there this time, but they don't actually win the stoppage. So whether he's been injured or down on form, or whether it's just be basic fatigue factor, Taylor Goad's lack of impact on this game in the second half has definitely costed Westminster a little bit. And we know what he looks like when he's at his best. Immanuel playing some of their best right now. Kept the eyes peeled. Lucas Wells. This could be for goal number 2.
I reckon he's played his role today. When we look back there, he was there. I think the lead was coming in for maybe Oscar Talbot, but Lucas, he knows when to put himself into the game and what to do and so on. So really like that, and this could be a reward if he gets his second as well. He played his role, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Lucas Wells starts his run up outside the arc and in the centre square, but will finish it within the arc as expected. It's a high drop punt. Team pretty eager to man up as a result of the kick, so Sportle will lightly register that as a behind. The goal umpire signals that is the case. The fashionable boundary umpire is on the field, but in the meantime, the kick on rebound for Westminster comes to Wheaton. He goes further out. It's a good kick on the right foot. He finds an option in Josh Smith. He goes further. Wanted to find another uncontested option, but Immanuel not easing off the pressure despite this game well and truly being over. This is the mark of a team that definitely wants to compete. It's good signs right now for Immanuel. And you're witnessing what, maybe not argue their best performance of the year, but it's their second win, and it's a good-looking one as a result. They faced their challenges and they responded. Mark Bickley with a lot to be pleased about with his men.
A few tired players out there, of course, but they'll come off happy, and you both teams put the effort in. It was a great battle first half. Second half, as we said, Immanuel taken over. Westminster haven't given up as such, but just found that Westminster, especially their backline this quarter, have been really good, and it's interesting. Their forward line in the third quarter, so their back line got a bit of a rest. Now their back line's had to work, and the forward line's having a bit of a rest. So great team blend, if you like, but I think you'll have some very good, interesting questions with the coach at the end of the game. The game has given us a lot of stuff today. Now, for the first time that we start seeing where they go backwards, and this is a practice thing that teams do in the what we call junk time, 24-minute mark, just maintaining possession, keeping's off the opposition. Not many leads coming, but now the kick comes down. So this will become a 50-50 on the wing. Wheaton again in there, but does he take the mark? He does. Umpire says no because he was actually behind. I think what happened, the player in front got his hands to the ball first, and Wheaton took it out second, and so becomes a 50-50, and so round it comes again. And just taking that ball there. Is this Archer Byrne, I reckon? Had his moments today. Really athletic, good size and everything like that. And that's a great grab. You see this battle of the backlines. Reuben Norton-Hayes. I've been waiting all day to say that name. Indy fair dinkum. What a ripping name. And after all that, he gets it out that far side. So once again, possession football. Oh, geez, a bit late with the play on. So what that does, it allows pressure to come on. And Westminster get the ball again. And he goes the big barrel. Does our Archer Byrne. Doesn't kick it back to Reuben Norton-Hayes, though. And that is a 65-89, 24-point win to Immanuel. So final scores today, 9-11-65 to 13-11, 89 in a very entertaining game of football. Now, Indy, you're going to go out and chase up the coach and who we might think our better player is. We will throw to a short break. I'll come back with a wrap-up of the game, and then we'll see your magnificent interview, of course.
G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a 1-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au. G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a 1-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au.
Welcome back, and first of all, congratulations to the Immanuel football team for coming out with a very good second half performance and ultimately the 4-goal win. It was a very impressive performance, and of course, many around the country dream of the biggest individual honour in football, and that's not the Brownlow medal, it's the Dartfish beanie here, and Oscar Talbot has been privileged with the opportunity to wear it on the back of a 4-goal one game, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a great game by the boys. To get it in the second half and get the win is just absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, just a question for the coach first. So Mark Bickley, what was the general memo at half-time when you were trailing in the game and Westminster applied the pressure in the second?
Yeah, look, I thought just towards the end of the second quarter, we actually upped our pressure a little bit, and that actually made a difference. So the message was at half-time, we just need to maintain that because we just started to create some ball use or from the opportunities from the turnovers. So, and that's what I thought was really important for us. Our work around the contest was better, and we just had a bit better shape around the footy. So we got blokes out into some space and were able to use the ball, and we had targets like Oscar and Phoenix and others up forward. So that was the message around really lifting our intensity. And, you know, to credit Westminster, they played some really good footy in the first half. They had 7 marks inside 50 in the second quarter. So, they played pretty well, but, we just had to lift our intensity in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. And a question for Oscar here, because you're playing part-time ruck and part-time forward. Do you have a preferred position? And is this 4-goal game probably one of your best for the year?
Yeah, it's definitely one of my best of the year. It was good fun rotating between forward and ruck, but usually I'm a backman, so yeah, it's good to change it up when we come to Immanuel, but out at Westies I'm a backman, so yeah, it's good in an uncomfortable position, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, does it change much about your routine at training as well? You're doing 2 different routines to balance the 2 positions. And more importantly, did Phoenix play a big contribution in kind of chopping out for that role when you weren't in it today? Yeah,
it's really great having Phoenix because he's got that state. He's out of state, so it's really good to get some points from him and a couple hints. And then also Peter McIntyre, who's also helping us coach at Immanuel, and he's doing a really great job.
Yeah, well, probably one more question that we got from Art Bickley. So you come out of the result today, and what are you going to take into training next week, I guess? What are the major learning lessons, particularly in the department of resilience and such?
Yeah, look, I think what we get out of today is that, it doesn't have to be perfect all day. I don't think we were all that happy with our first half, but we hung in there, and in the end we were able to turn the game in our favour. So, kicking against the breeze in the last quarter showed a lot of character to hold on to that lead, and we actually extended it. So, yeah, we'll take some belief out of it, and I think we've got a couple of big games coming up in the coming weeks, so we look forward to them, and we'll take some confidence out of today.
Yeah, we wish both of you the best of luck going into those coming games. So we're going to go to an ad break now, but congratulations to Immanuel. It was a fantastic second half.
G'day guys, the Simon Black Academy is all about education and sport. Our partner in education is Torrens University, where our students either do a 1-year diploma course or a 3-year Bachelor of Business. Around that we run a football and athletic program based here at Norwood Oval, and it's all about trying to develop and take our students' game to a new level. Around that also, our third pillar, besides education and football, is personal development. If you want to get involved, check out our website, which is simonblack.com.au.
Welcome back, folks. Well, what a very entertaining game that was. Westminster, of course, 9-11-65, defeated by Immanuel 13-11-89. Just looking through the first quarter, well, Westminster started well. Immanuel came back and probably held control for 15, maybe 20 minutes there. And then Westminster, of course, scored those couple of late goals, with Agnew. Then goal for goal in the second quarter, so a really different game, of course, and Westminster 8 points up. Then Immanuel came out, and they really took over in the second half. I'd say, Indy, the 5 goals in that third quarter to Westminster kicking the 1. So they were 16 points in front, thinking, oh, okay, then will Westminster come back? Couldn't do it. Westminster kicked the 1 in the last quarter. Immanuel, they came out and kicked 2, but I thought the third quarter was all their forward line, and the last quarter was all their back line.
Well, at major level, they call the third quarter the premiership quarter, and that's certainly when Immanuel came to play. It was their best quarter by far, and you'd probably have to say that a lot of it came from a good, healthy and resilient mindset on the back of the coach, Mark Bickley, who definitely, he switched the magnets, he changed the pace, and the more innovative coaches tend to come out on top when they're trailing, and we've seen it at major and minor levels throughout the country this year, that type of resilient mindset can get you very far ways.
And I really liked you could see the game plan, you could see the structures, even in the first half, some of the movement of the ball, the diagonal patterns, they weren't going backwards, they were going sideways or forwards on the 45, forwards down the ground, maintaining possession. They had to rely on a strong back line. They had the 2 big targets we talked about, Phoenix Foster and, of course, Oscar Talbot. Oscar's game over 4 quarters, fantastic. Phoenix, probably his first half was the better half, but really gave them that impetus to get up and go. So they knew they were on, and then had to come out in the second half. And I think the consistency as well, as I said, they kicked 6 goals in the first half and they kicked 7 in the second half. Westminster kicked the 2. Looking at our goal scorers for Westminster, Wisniewski with 1, Lockie Ingerson 1, Jake Agnew all in the first half with his 4 goals. Then he had to go into the ruck. Be interested to know what happened to Taylor Goad there, because he was just on and off in the last half. Tom Wheaton kicked 2, 1 very late one. Max Robertson with 1. Better players, as we said, probably similar. Solomon, Wisniewski, Agnew was probably their better player, had to end up going into the ruck. Taylor Goad in his first half, probably his second quarter was his best quarter. Probably introduced himself a little bit more into the game, and then we don't know what happened third and fourth quarter. He tended to be on and off. Anders McShane at times, number 29. Riley Hill, pretty good game in there. Thought Wisniewski at times, we saw him in the last quarter. Max Robertson at times, and Kayla Knox, once again, some of these in the first half. Archer Byrne a little bit more in the second half. I like Archer Byrne. I think he's got a lot to offer. We didn't see his best today, but still strong enough. But there's so much more that he can be doing that we've seen in past games. So, wish him all the best as well for the future. I think they're in not too bad a place, Westminster. You can see what Tim's trying to do, and it's more than just game day. It's more than just winning. It's, as I said, celebrate the moments. How did you see Immanuel?
Well, I saw many positives from Immanuel if we're looking from a scoreboard perspective. Will Trevina pitched in with 1 goal. Harry Cook got 1 goal, and he was also a very good goal assistant, Harry Cook. I noticed a lot of passages of play where he had some good centering kicks, and he kept his eyes peeled a lot of the time. Connor Knight was kind of that consistent third man who was just able to take any opportunity that he'd be given. And Phoenix Foster, he only kicked 1 goal. It was in the first quarter. That was his best quarter for the game. But as Oscar Talbot said in that interview, he really enjoyed Phoenix and his presence in the team, allowing him to chop out of certain positions. Good. Lucas Wells also got a goal. Yep. Macklin McKay also got 2 goals. And Oscar Talbot, of course, the best on ground with the 4 goals. Tyson White also got a goal on the board as well. So they distributed the love pretty evenly. But if we're excluding the actual forward contribution, I think that Ben Rogers had some good moments in the middle of that game. Will Kitty and Josh Altus were very good in the defence, and you had to give full credit to them. I really like some of the patches of play that Riley Davey added. He had some really good spoils. Didn't see too much of Ruben Norton-Hayes, but that was a really fun name to say. That's the only reason I'm mentioning it here. And the captain, Isaiah Wiltsch, he wasn't the biggest ball obtainer, but in complete fairness, he's a very good skipper for the team, and he did set the tone for a lot of stoppage plays that I think favoured the team. And Zach Earl, a very courageous player too, had some very big moments in that game and was a very good physical presence for the team.
The physical presence, as you said, Wilkes at times, as I said, first half was a little bit quiet. We saw him in patches, but what he does do is second effort. Like you'll see him, he'll just flick out a handball or get something. If it's a turnover, bang, his impact on a player when he tackles, I said he's a bit like Viney at Melbourne. He's just so physically hard on those tackles, and I think that's his standout at the moment. Understand the game, of course, but geez, I'll tell you what, some of his tackles there really strong and hard and leading by example. So really appreciated. Great game of football. Some of our sponsors there, Indy, you can read off the top 4.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much to all of our sponsors today making this live stream possible. We really enjoy coming out here. We wouldn't be able to do it without Dartfish, Simon Black Academy, Sports Interactive, Filming Footy, and last but not least, Sportle, our scoreboard sponsor. And
they are magnificent scoreboards, let me tell you that. And you're going to be hearing a lot about them over the next few years, because some of the things that they're doing, the innovations that they're doing with the scoreboards, it's more than just seeing a sign come up or the score, it's replays, there's so much interactivity going on. So thank you very much to Sportle for getting behind us, of course, here and throughout many of the other leagues across Australia. Folks, that's it here. I'm a bit disappointed there's not a 5th quarter. That's how good today was. Westminster and Immanuel, once again, thank you to the Westminster people. They've looked after us immensely well in here, and the rain stayed away. Fantastically entertaining game, and Tell you what, folks, leading into the next couple of weeks, we've got finals coming up. There's going to be a bit of crossover with teams next week or so. There's the finals. Of course, we've got Intercol coming up towards the end of the year. So stay tuned over the next, round 7? So there's another 4 rounds to go yet. And there's some exciting games ahead. And hopefully they can be up to the standard that they were today. We thank you so much for tuning in. Especially the parents and the grandparents and the families of a lot of these players who are down here as boarders, and they don't get to see their children, every night or every week, and that they can watch them here in a game of footy and say, that's my boy or that's my player, whatever it is. So we thank you for tuning in all around Australia, friends interstate and overseas as well. Stay tuned. We've got exciting football coming up over the next few weeks. The drier grounds, faster football, it's all happening, Indy. Thank you very much, my co-commentator. Once again, fantastic job. Thank you to all our production crew. And that's it from Tony Neal and all of us here at Dartfish and Filming Footy. Over and out until next week. Cannot wait.